Okay, everybody, what's going on? I got cat hair in my mouth. Oh, damn. What a start. Okay. Um, yeah. I wanted to put one of the discussions we were gonna have in the title today, but I felt like that might have sparked like Genshin World War, so maybe it's safer for us to just call it a chillin' stream where we just sit here and talk, but in actuality we're about to open a can of worms that I don't think anyone wants to open. But as we always advocate, nothing is off topic here when it comes to Genshin. We got anything from like yelling feet pics all the way to what we're about to talk about now. Okay. uh Honestly, if you have yelling feet pics in a folder somewhere on your computer, I can't even be mad. That's just culture right there. All right, you're living life. And I'm just gonna pretend I've never seen that. So the magic lives on. All right, so the magic lives on. Endgame. Ringo is here. Yes, Ringo. It's been a while, my friend, hasn't it? It feels like it's been over a year. How have you been? School's been busy, have it? Has it? This one doesn't have a chest. Energies. I still find chests in Monster because basic ones don't give primos, so I didn't grind for them. Nice little surprise. Busy at work, bro. Oh, yeah, that do be getting you, man. That do be getting you. Like nowadays, I have about like 3-4 hours a day where I can kind of sit down and just ignore everything and play games or do whatever I want. I can choose to read a book. I'm sorry. Read a book. Oh. I have 4 hours of free time in a day, and it's usually split between watching anime, watching YouTube video, making my own YouTube video, playing Genshin, and sometimes some other games. Watch a movie if I really feel like, it's a slow day and just want to kick back, relax. But yeah. I can also choose to touch grass within those 4 hours, but hey. I ain't giving up my my weep status that easily. How are you, brother? I'm doing good. I think a busy walrus is a good walrus. I hope you all are also finding time in your life to kind of just get busy. Whether if it's like self-induced busyness or environment-induced business. I think it's important for us to always look for something to do. If you tell me you have over 16 hours of free time in a day, that's kind of, not gonna lie, that's kind of yikes, bro. Gotta find something to do. Yeah, for me, I've been keeping busy. Yeah, better busy than bored. Exactly. Okay, I'll let you guys in on one of the topics we must touch on today before we end stream is whether or not Kazuha is overhyped. Oh, yep. Okay, I hear some people stretching their fingers already. Literally, no cap. I can see like at least 7 of you being like, "Oh boy, all right, okay, let's get to typing. Let's get to typing. Let's open the Word document. All right, let's get typing. It's time to type an essay." Listen, this character, man, he's good. Trust me, he's like one of the best characters in the game. I think like easily top 2 characters in the game. But can you really say a top 2 unit in the game could be at any point considered overhyped? Again, what we do here is that we like to go on like a journey. Go on like a journey with our thought experiments. Is that we don't really have like I even said in my video recently that one of the weaknesses I think for the most part for people is that they don't try to evaluate characters for their future potential. Try to see what the dev team is doing. Look at what they did with Yellen. Look at what they did with Yamiko and all these recent 5 stars and potentially even Kuki to try to see what's going on in the future. What's going to be happening in the future, right? What's the likelihood of a meta shift? And let's not kid ourselves when we say like, oh, I don't care about meta. Yeah, you don't really have to care about meta, but you want most people want the characters they invest into to feel worthwhile, right? And a good part of Genshin is that it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you hyper invest into any character, they can perform extremely well. But the case with Kazuha is that he doesn't really need that much investment and he can still perform really well. And most people who are getting him are going to be for chasing. Oh my goodness, look at that ankle. Look at this right ankle. Yeah, anyways, most people who do end up getting him are chasing the meta. Like, let's because look at his original banner sales, right? If people claim that, oh, I am a non-meta player, I don't care about meta, then they shouldn't be getting Kazuha anyways, because, right, you have Venti or you have Sucrose, who cares? But once his banner drops, I think we will see just how cap, let's just put it that way, how cap some people are. I think for the most part, people are meta driven. It's just sometimes you want your waifu and husbando to also be a part of the meta. That's the best of both worlds, right? Sure, there are people who are Beidou mains, there are Xinyan mains, but just because you're a Xinyan main doesn't mean you can't pull a Kazuha. That's the other thing. If you are a waifu or husbando player, in some cases, Kazuha is only going to make your waifu and husbando better. So in that case, even if you're a waifu and husbando exclusive player, you're going to want Kazuha, because to make sure your waifu or husbando performs at the best of their abilities, Kazuha is going to make sure that becomes a reality, right? So I guess in many ways that even if you're a casual, just for fun player, picking up a Kazuha can't really do much harm for you in the scope of Genshin. Yet why do I think that there is a conversation to be had to say that the amount of hype this character is getting is getting dangerously high, even for an existing top 2 character? I'm asking the question. Do you guys think it is? Killer Brands, I'm sleepy. I just woke up. I'm a Beidou main here, always have been. Nebulous, I played him as a trial, just liked how fun and easy to use he was. Reason why I'll just grab 1 copy. And the good thing is 1 copy is good enough. You don't need like many copies of Kazuha. 1 is enough. More than enough. Kazuha and Yellen, these 2 characters, like, you get 1 copy of them, like it feels like you've really lucked out already. The Kazuha and Yellen are these 2 characters feel like different from a lot of the on-field damage carries that Hoyoverse released, like the Itos and whatnot. Like, yeah, Ito doesn't feel that bad either, but you need around 140 energy regen on Ito if you are, if you like 140 energy regen on Ito with like a Sakbo Goro is what kind of where you're sitting at, probably even a Favonius Lance Zhongli to feel comfortable, unless you have constellations for him. But like Yellen, Kazuha, they don't feel like they have this problem, especially with the teams that you can construct around them. They feel so complete already. I don't know why it's this way, because some characters feel like they were designed backwards, meaning they had a complete product and then they took things out of the product to make them feel weaker and weaker until they reach C0, and put some of the key functioning constellations as C1 and C2. But Yellen and Kazuha, while their early constellations are very powerful, they don't feel necessary. That's the other thing. I think like Kazuha is an easy recommendation. So I think a lot of people are it doesn't matter if you're a content creator or you're just a player right now. If somebody genuinely comes and asks you like, oh, what should I do? I just started the game. Should I pull for, you know, Ito? Should I pull for Yelan? I think the easiest recommendation, anyone can give this recommendation, like, oh no, don't do it. Just wait for Kazuha. Right? And I think that mindset has caused everyone to just be like, oh, just skip everything, go for Kazuha, ask questions later. Right? Don't care about anything else. Is that a problem? You see, I'm asking you guys before I give you guys my thought, because this is as much of a discussion as it is, you know, a controversy in a way. What do you guys think? Right? Has it reached levels where it's like, okay, maybe we should dial it back a little bit, maybe we should evaluate this more, or is Kazuha really that easy of a recommendation just to slap to anyone's account? Anyone. Henoji says, if he immediately gets nerfed in Sumeru, it'll be a problem. I don't think he is going to be like directly nerfed, but I just think that Hoyoverse is going to favor this character a little less, if that makes sense. Right now there's a huge amount of favoritism. It's the same thing with Bennett, right? There are now characters like Yelan, characters that don't purely scale off of attack, where you can't really just slap a Bennett and increase their damage. Different scaling units are starting to get released more and more. Give it a couple more years, there's going to be a Bennett for every category. Right? There's going to be a HP Bennett. There's going to be EM Bennett. There's going to be a defense Bennett. I mean, Goro is the defense Bennett in a way, kind of. Not really, but kind of. I'm just saying, it's just because right now defense-centric carries are not as prominent, so Bennett is still really, really good. But they don't necessarily have to nerf Kazuha, but they just will favor him less. Jason Leon says, I don't think Kazuha will get hard nerf unless MiHoYo makes Anemo don't react with Dendro. Now, Jason, let me ask you another question. If they did it with Anemo and Geo, why wouldn't they do it to Dendro? Well, that's the thing I've been asking myself. Honestly, sometimes I just lay in bed and I can't fall asleep because I'm just thinking about these things. They're just racing through my head. Like, what's the likelihood of Hoyoverse just making Dendro, Anemo, and Geo have no reactions with each other to form like a trifecta of non-reaction elements? Meta or not, watching enemies fly around is always fun. That's true. That's true. And I think having a handsome boy, you know, having a handsome boy with a good drip and class doing it is even more worthwhile, right? Look at that. It's very satisfying. Jason is a very high percentage. Yeah, because I wouldn't put it past Hoyoverse to pull a move like that. But I think that is very necessary. Listen, chat. That is a necessary move, because if they give Anemo and Dendro any sort of reactions, it's going to okay. I think we have to start from, let's go back a little bit, because there's just too much to talk about. There's way too much to talk about for us to dive into that. Yeah, that's like a little later, right? Isn't Kazuha C2 the EM Bennett though? Yeah, but Kazuha doesn't heal. Like, I'm talking a healer buffer who not only heals you but also buff, because you need that in a team. Yes, Giga Whales have not needed a healer in their team since 1.0. Or I'll be honest with you guys, if you guys go watch any Giga Whale C6 R5 players, they have the luxury of bringing no healers, because they can clear the abyss. They can clear like the hardest content in the game in seconds. I'm talking single digit seconds, right? So what's the point of bringing a healer? But for everyone else, when you're building a team, there's always a slot that's reserved for a healer, or at the very least a pseudo healer, meaning like they're not like particularly a healer, but they give you some healing, which is enough to get through the content if you have either good shielding or really high damage potential in the team. A good example, or like self-healing on-field carries such as Hu Tao. A good example of this is the Xingqiu Hu Tao Albedo Zhongli team. You don't have a dedicated healer, but you have a pseudo healer in Xingqiu and then a self-healing unit in Hu Tao, which you can get away with it. But for the most part, if a Nemo and Geo has reactions to Dendro, you're gonna find yourself in a problem where there's too many options. There's too many options. There's like there's the team slots are gonna be just too limited. It's already getting pretty tight. Like honestly, look at some of the teams you guys are building right now. You just wish you had an extra slot to put a character in, but for the most part you cannot, right? I mean, what do I mean for the most part? But you cannot, period. Not for the most part. There needs to be a more definitive way for us to tell whether a character is worthwhile in a team or not. There's no metric of for damage. Just I guess the only way you can really figure out oh, this team works better than the other is if you take it into Abyss, try it out, like okay, this feels much better. But then again, dude, depending on Abyss rotations and the buffs in the Abyss and which card you chose in which chamber and how it all stacks up, one character might just have an advantage temporarily in the Abyss. And I guess is that the reason why Hoyoverse designed it in this way, so that characters are meant to be rotated through, and as long as you build a couple different varieties for teams, you will be fine. NOG says, if there is another non-reaction element added, would the game get boring? The game is most fun when we have more options for team building and reactions. Well, Henoji, it's not that it's necessarily they're not doing it because it'll be more fun. I think yes, you're right. The more fun way to do it is have everything react with everything, right? Have a Nemo react with Dendro. Have Geo react with Anemo, and Geo react with Dendro, and have better reactions for Geo with all the other elements, right? And that's going to be more fun, but I don't think Hoyoverse wants to get into the nightmare of having to balance that. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Hoyoverse has a big enough staff to properly balance that. I just don't think that they have it, and I don't think they're willing to put in the resource to have a team like that, because I don't think there will ever be PvP in Genshin. So balancing in the game has never really taken a priority. As long as I think they look at damage ceiling, right? That's what they look at. However, as long as they can cap a character or a reaction's like peak damage ceiling, they're good to go. I think that's what they're looking at, and everything in between, they don't really care that much. That's why you can see something like Raiden at C2 outperforming most, if not all, other characters at C2, right? It's just, or that huge jump. It's justified in that, or if you guys want to be a little more meticulous with them, is that at every constellation, maybe they'll evaluate, okay, with this number tweak like this, how would they perform? Okay, now compare that to everyone else. Okay, so they're within the range of acceptance. Let's move on to the next constellation. And just pile it on and on and on and on. But as long as they cap the ceiling, it's fine. That's Hoyo versus balancing. It's just damage ceilings, like how much damage you can do versus how much HP the mobs in Abyss has. To put it in simple layman terms, that's their balancing. So adding more reactions might throw a wrench into those plans. Might. Do they want to go back to the drawing board and because think about it, then they have to like connect the line between each Dendro and Anemo characters. They're already doing Dendro, Pyro, Dendro, Hydro, Dendro, Electro, Dendro, Cryo, and now they have to do Dendro, Anemo, Dendro, and Geo. So I think it's not laziness. I think it's easy for us to say, oh, they're just lazy, they're just greedy. It's just a lack of available resources. They don't like, and I don't think Hoyoverse wants to put any more money into hiring staff, because right now Genshin is a well-oiled machine. The fact that they decided to introduce a new element is already telltale of the fact that yes, they want to develop the game, they want to develop the playstyles, which is great. But I don't think they want to have any more. I think they also want to have an opportunity to reshape what they previously thought was, you know, a good idea. Meaning, I like almost an Anemo dominated meta. Hydro Anemo are really strong elements. One is because of its reaction capabilities being Hydro. The other is because of an artifact. Right? Nobody is simply playing Swirl because Swirl is cool or Swirl does damage. It's because Swirl gives you access to the Viridescent set. Anna, what are you doing? Anna, come on. Anna. Anna. Come on. Up, up, up. Good girl. Good girl. But yes. So hyping up Kazuha so much, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. Okay, I'll give you guys my answer right now. Like, we've been talking about this for a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a problem. But I don't just expect Viridescence and Dendro to be very good with each other. Let's just put it that way. And listen, I don't look at leaks, but I just don't have that much faith, and it doesn't make sense, people. If you really think about it. If you really think about it, okay. If you really think about it, incentivizing Dendro, Hydro, Pyro, Cryo, and Electro is going to probably in the long run be better for Hoyoverse, because you would then have to build teams around Dendro with elemental based characters without Kazuha. Listen, people, Hoyoverse don't ever want a situation where one character can fit every single team. Well, Kazuha doesn't necessarily do that now, but he fits in pretty much all elemental teams if you really want him to. Right? All elemental teams could have a Kazuha in them. And that's bad business for Hoyoverse. Which is bad business, because now, when they release a new character, like, oh, you know, this character can buff this element, and then you're like, oh, but I already have Kazuha, so I guess that's a hard skip for me, right? But what if they release a new element where Kazuha isn't going to be so good anymore? Like because, you know, he's not favored. He's not the best option in those teams. Guess what? Future characters that are released that buff that element or engage with that element really nicely is going to be incentivized, right? It's just business. It makes sense. If they keep giving Kazuha the leeway and being like, oh, Kazuha this, Kazuha that, Viridescent this, and that, why should you pull for new characters? Who gives a damn about new characters? I got Kazuha, right? My Kazuha can buff up my Dendro characters, my elemental characters. Hell, right? You know, there's a reason why he can't buff physical damage carries. He can't buff geocentric carries. Hoyoverse, I think, made the right choice with Kazuha. I think Venti was utterly broken. The way they kind of toned Venti back, like, did you guys notice they never nerfed Venti directly, right? It's always indirect nerfs. Well, you're really good at sucking small mobs. You're really good at sucking small mobs together, right? Okay. We'll see about that. Okay. And then they release mobs that Venti couldn't suck anymore. And then they release a character like Kazuha to kind of deal with that, right? Because, oh, now you don't have Venti, you're going to need a 5-star option to deal with this problem, right? Well, here you go. That's your answer. Which is amazing. We've been using Kazuha for a year now, people. He's still number one. Think about it. A shelf life. And listen, I don't want people to get the idea that, oh, Kazuha's going to be bad, that Dendro's out. No, he's not. No, he's not. It's just that he can't be dominating in every meta, every team, every option, which he doesn't right now. But physical is so niche that I want to just say there's only literally one physical team in the game. Yes, I know Kaching physical, Jinyan physical, physical DPS Zhongli. Yes, blah blah blah. You know, I get it. Those teams exist, but Eula is probably the only like recognized physical team. The HVK said we've been playing with Kazuha for a year now. Speak for yourself, Horse. Okay, Kazuha is probably a character that was like the amount of people who skipped Kazuha was just, you know, it's tragic to look at the numbers. It's tragic that we had to. Okay, you know, there's one thing I have to confess, and I've confessed this before. When Kazuha first came out, and I was evaluating him, hell, look at my videos. Look at my videos. Like I can't lie about this stuff. Like yeah, there was a time when Kazuha first came out, I called him an S tier support though. It's in the thumbnail. Right? But it was incredibly difficult to ask people who already pulled for Venti. It was like, oh, now get Kazuha. It was incredibly difficult because I didn't know what the game had in store for us in the future. Like, it wasn't clear yet how big of a shift it was going to be. We could have guessed it. Sure, people were like, oh, yeah, as a content creator, you guys should be, you know, like, if you're going to give recommendations, you ought to be accurate. And I did own up to it. I did say, like, yes, I did. You know, I didn't push Kazuha as hard as I should have in hindsight. Look. Look at this. What does it say? Insane S tier support. You know what? I'm actually curious exactly what I said. All right? Back then. And there has been people, listen, people. Maybe you guys are reasonable and think like, oh, you know, it's not your fault. Who would have known? But there are people who were really upset. It's like, dude, I didn't pull Kazuha because of your videos. And, you know, I really regret it. Which, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I didn't know. And the fact that a lot of content creators at the time were saying like, oh, you know, he's amazing, he's really good, he feels really fun to play, but if you have Venti, maybe he's not at the top of your priority. I think that was like the general consensus, and that's what really pissed people off afterwards. Man, this is when... I love doing that attack in Abyss. It was just so clean. It was so fun. Sup flappers, Kazuha is here and he is extremely versatile. Get used to hearing that word because we will be talking about it as we continue in the video. In this build guide, you will get everything you need to make Kazuha work and to draw this is a build guide.
Power as possible.
What did I even say?
Kazuha, some of you may be having some questions as to exactly how you should be building him, and the whole confusing part is what exactly does Elemental Mastery do and how it affects not only Kazuha but the rest of your team. Now, with all this said, this video will be covering talent priorities, best weapons, artifacts, including main stats.
Okay, maybe this is not the video we need to watch. We need to be watching the one where I was talking about was he worth it. What did I say about Kazuha, whether or not he was worth it? Was Kazuha worth it?
That being said, I do think that he is also what I would consider a preferential unit.
You see,
what does that mean?
That was, you see,
currently in the game,
that was
what doesn't.
That was the consensus, right? He was a preferential unit at the time of his release. And I think this is the kind of thing that most people were saying, because how could you have said that this character was a must pull? Listen, people, in hindsight, yes, he by definition he was a must pull for what was coming in Inazuma 2.0, 2.1, 2.2. But at the time of his release, how can people say that he was a must pull?
Really bring anything new. Instead, he rehashes old amazing tools that already exist in the game that are used by other characters who have been proven to be successful. And
yes, Sucrose, Venti, right? The whole Viridescence thing. he didn't suck as hard as Venti. He didn't group enemies as well as Venti. So if with what the meta was at the time, he didn't even do that as well as Venti. He provided another option. He dealt with these kind of big mobs really, really well. Venti was still S tier, like SS tier. At the time Kazuha was released, Kazuha was like put very close side by side with Venti almost. And it took 2 or 3 patches afterwards when people like when Hoyoverse really, really went hard on Abyss. Yeah, Hoyoverse went so hard. Like you thought it was just for 1-2 patches. Oh yeah, you know, Kazuha is gonna be good for 1-2 patch, and then they're gonna bring back the smaller mobs, so Venti has a place to shine. That never happened. Never happened, people. All right. Kazuha went from 1 patch to 2 patches, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 patches. He's still there, man. Venti never came back. And that's where a lot of people, and I do own up to this mistake. I should have thought about this in hindsight. I should have thought about it. I should have known. I should have seen it coming because of how utterly broken Morgana and Venti-centric teams were. The game wasn't fun. It wasn't even challenging. Abyss 12 felt like an absolute joke when you were running the Morgana team. It was just... I should have seen it. And I should have known. And now I think about this stuff. You see, that's why we're sitting here having this conversation, even, people. I'm not telling you don't pull Kazuha. I'm saying beware of what Hoyoverse likes to do when a character is overused in Abyss. And Kazuha is overused. Way overused in not just Abyss, but in like so many different team options. This doesn't bode well for Hoyoverse. Granted, Kazuha doesn't kill the fun. Kazuha doesn't kill the fun in the game. He just makes content and building teams a lot easier. He's like an easy slap into any kind of elemental-centric teams, which is a good character. He makes him a really good and desirable character. The thing is, is it too much? Does Hoyoverse think he's a little too good? Right? And listen, we're just talking about his potential going forward. What kind of Abyss are we going to run into when Dendro comes out? When Dendro comes out, are there going to be Abysses that favors Dendro units? What does Dendro do? Does it debuff enemies? Does it buff your teammates? Does it protect your teammates? What kind of reactions will it have? Is it AoE? Is it damage centric? Right? And if Kazuha has no reactions with Dendro and you need to have Dendro in the team, does that mean there will be a lot of teams where you run in the future when you run Abyss where Kazuha doesn't exist? Or at least on one side, Kazuha doesn't exist. So does that mean, yes, you can still pull Kazuha, just slap Kazuha with like your Raiden or something like that, right? Or your Ayaka and put him in the side where you don't have to deal with Dendro. That could work. So it's not like he's going to be edged out. It's just maybe he'll start to be favored less, which is to be expected. Techie the Virus says, what if Dendro sucks and it is weaker than Vape and Melt? Kazuha will still be king. Well, Techie, I think you're not taking into account how much Hoyoverse likely will incentivize utility. For example, Techie, right now, the Abyss Lectors is a great example. You don't need like the best DPS in the game to kill the Lectors. You just need an element that counters them, which is, right, you need something like utility. A Barbara could deal with the Pyrolectors really well, while your Hu Tao is utterly useless, right? If we're talking about a tier list to counter the Pyrolector, Barbara would be at the top, Hu Tao would literally be F tier. And that is how Hoyoverse has been designing the game, is around utility. A lot of the annoying stuff that they put into Abyss nowadays is like the two most annoying things that Hoyoverse does in Abyss that I think most people talk about is just damage sponges, so like damage checks, and then annoying utility features such as the Abyss Lector shields. The Elemental Abyss Lector shield it's really what what Hoyoverse tends to lean on nowadays, because they can't just indefinitely increase the HP. Then there's just gonna come a threshold where free to plays can't compete. So they have to find a way to throw in these kind of little gimmicks here and there. And I think there might be gimmicks that require Dendro to solve. For example, listen, all right? Totally pulling an idea out of my ass here. Don't quote me on this. In fact, don't even take this too seriously. Listen. What if, all right, what if there's a reaction that Dendro has that could, I don't know, debuff enemies, right? And what if there's a new type of enemies? Let's, again, just totally throwing this out there. This type of enemies that just buffs themselves like a freaking steroid injected gym junkie. All right. Frick. If you don't debuff this enemy, there's almost no fight to be had. Let's just put it that way. If you don't debuff, if you don't get rid of this character's buff, you are going to have an absolutely miserable time fighting this thing. Let's say this buff gives them additional movement speed, higher defenses, higher attack, and then they move, right? Now they're moving faster, they're attacking faster, they're like enraged or some crap like that. And you got to use a dendro-centric unit or a reaction to debuff this, for a lack of better terms. Motherfucker, alright? You got to debuff this person or this mob, or else you're going to have a terrible time fighting it. So now there's it, like, but once you debuff him, he's just another normal mob. And imagine if that thing makes it into Abyss 12 at level 100 and it's like a boss level character. The hell are you gonna do? You're just gonna let a level 100 mob have like twice the attack, double the defense, like triple the attack speed, wailing on you? Is that like, you know what I'm saying? Of course that's terrible design. That's terrible game design. But I'm just saying, the character itself isn't strong. What's strong is that it's now receiving this buff, and you need to cleanse this buff or debuff the enemy through Dendro. I'm just saying. All right, I'm just saying. This didn't come out of some Hoyoverse boardroom. I'm just sitting here pitching ideas. I'm just trying to give an example in a scenario where Hoyoverse will heavily incentivize, not just incentivize, they will heavily incentivize you bring Dendro characters, because to deal with some sort of BS artificial obstacle they've created. And I think that's the idea they want to go with. They don't want to keep increasing the HP. Yeah, HP will slowly go up as better characters with better, DPS ceilings come out, better teams are being created. Yeah, it's normal. But they can't keep doing that. They have to find ways, creative ways, to make players feel like, oh, that's so BS. Like, why are you forcing me to do this? Why? But you should never have the player base be asking that question. You should always be like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's very difficult. How can I deal with that problem? Right? Okay, they've thrown a problem at us. Now, how do we solve that problem? It's like a puzzle. Infamous Nilrash says the chasm is already showing enemies like that. So, yeah, listen, all right. If we as the players can buff ourselves, why can't the enemies have their own Bennett? Have you guys ever thought about that? And just imagine one day the enemy has a little adventurer thing that just kind of throws a little aura on the ground, and all the enemies have like double the attack. And you're like, what? Hold up, that's not fair. Wait, Hoyoverse, what the fuck is that? How come they get to do that? If we get a Bennett, it's only fair that enemies get one too. The double samurai kind of help each other. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I just hope that Dendro reactions aren't annoying as hell, but I already know they are annoying as hell. The Dendro constructs are some of the most BS things in the entire game. They freaking spawn mobs in all corners of a big ass chamber, and when you're trying to run to deal with them, you literally get these vines spawn on the ground that blocks your path, and if you don't have a shield, you literally just get hit back. And imagine if they make some BS Dendro character ignore shield. Can you guys imagine those vines that get summoned that ignores your shield while having the Dendro aura constantly draining your HP that also ignores shield? And the only way to cleanse it is through like a freaking Dendro, I don't know, like Cryo Dendro, Electro Dendro, Hydro Dendro reaction. That's gonna be so freaking annoying to deal with. Oh, bro, I don't want to think about that. Somebody was saying for me to go react to Soul's new video. Made a new video. Let's take a look. You guys don't know Soul. Man, but the guy swears like
So we're gonna do something a little different today. This video is gonna be me talking about why I believe the things I believe using the facts of the matter,
demonetized
and I'm
verbal,
not going to be talking in my normal like super exaggerated mean. Okay,
all right, let's take a look. So, So the title is explaining how content creators know players are quitting Genshin. Interesting. I mean, even players know players are quitting Genshin, but okay.
Okay. So we're gonna do something a little different today. This video is gonna be me talking about why I believe the things I believe using the facts of the matter, and I'm not going to be talking in my normal like super exaggerated mean person analogy today. We're not doing that. I'm just gonna talk normally. I'm not gonna do my normal spiel of the asshole
No.
on the internet. I'm just gonna
No, that's what I subscribed for. But hey, it's easier for me because I guess I won't get demonetized.
talk normally. I'm going to tell you why I believe the things I believe. I'm going to show you evidence as to why I believe it. And then the people who want to take it can take it. And the people who don't want to take it can remain willfully ignorant. It is your call. So, I made a video the other day called Why More and More Players Are Quitting Genshin. And for starters, first things first, I said why people are quitting. I didn't say the game was dying. I didn't say that the game was making less money. I said why people are quitting Genshin. And the entirety of the video...
Okay. Before we go any further, this is a problem, all right? This is a problem that I need to talk. Like his title, you guys can't see it, right? Oh, you guys can. His title says, why more and more players are quitting Genshin Impact. And let me tell you guys, here's the thing with the Genshin community. I guess it's not just Genshin. Like, we need to stop just picking on the Genshin community. It's just people in general. They will connect the dots in their head faster than you can make a point in the first 5 seconds of the video, because before you even say anything, they've either seen the thumbnail, read the title, and they've already formulated how they want to feel about your video. Very few videos or content creators are capable of changing the minds of the people who already made up their minds before watching your videos. And I think it isn't the first time you guys probably heard of the saying, is that people sometimes don't watch videos to learn something or to get a new perspective. People watch videos to confirm or their bias or to deny someone else's opinion, right? They will watch a video just to tell you are wrong. Like, they will click on your video because they need to click on your video to comment on your video. That's why they clicked on it. So that view isn't because of engagement. It's just they're literally here to tell you why you're wrong. And they haven't watched your video. They only read the title, right? And I think Soul here is definitely a content creator that suffers greatly due to these types of people. Is because if you don't watch to the end of his videos, you miss out on a lot of key kind of things, like he said. And then people will say, oh, well, it's the content creator's job to keep me engaged until the end of the video. Yes, that is true. But, you know, it's very It's very shallow to just watch. Like, if you don't watch at least 40-50%, it's almost like, it's like, have you guys ever had those assignments in school where you had to write a review on a book or a summary or like whatever, right? Your teacher is like, oh, okay, class, go read this book, and then you're gonna have to write a paper on it. And then people don't read the book. They go on like frickin' what's those websites called? Like Flash Notes or whatever. Like, they go to these websites, they get the synopsis or like the general summary of the book, and then they write a review on the summary of the book, and they miss so much nuance and key. Like, you can literally tell between somebody who's actually read the book and somebody who likely just read the frickin' summary. That's what those comments feel like. Cliff notes, yeah. Like, when us as content creators, when we read our comments, it's so obvious when somebody hasn't watched a video. It is painfully obvious when we can see this person actually didn't watch the video, and they're commenting on it, or they read like, or they have one point where they reference something you say in the video, and then there's like, this is why I think this is blah 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 blah, and then they write a bunch of stuff on it. They can be nice, they could be mean, they could be whatever, and then they write something, and then they literally give themselves away that they didn't watch the video, because sometimes in the video, like in Soul's case, and I might get slapped in the face for this because he might literally say this later in the video, but I haven't gotten to it yet, right? But they'll say something that you literally say later in the video, and then they say, it would be nice if you included this. This is the thing that really gets to people, especially content creators. Like, why are you so quick to judge when you haven't even finished a video where, you know, I get to all these points? It's just, yeah, maybe myself, some other creators, maybe we're just not good enough. We're not making the videos interesting enough, engaging enough, keeping the attention of the people to have them want to continue watching. That's our fault. To a degree, it is. Okay?
I listed off things that Mihoyo has done that people didn't like, and I stopped after Anniversary. I could have kept going, but I didn't. And a lot of the comments in the video are like, the game's not dying, it's more popular than ever. And
yeah,
that's not true. So, to prove it, I have brought a little bits of evidence. Now, this is called Google Trends. I'm not sure if any...
Hey, look! Hey, I don't know if you guys can see EroticWalruss. Wait, but the only videos that I talked about... Wait, he might be taking a big doo-doo on me. Wait, let's see.
Everybody knows what this is. So for the unenlightened, I will tell you what this is. This is a chart that documents the amount of people talking about anything on any given day. So, for example, if I go onto my Twitter, and follow me, by the way, and I type in anything with Genshin Impact. So this is a Genshin Impact tweet. This counts towards Google Trends, because anything you search that has Genshin Impact in it or is related to it, so any of the characters from the game.
What the fuck is this? Really? What is this?
Any of the banners, anything that's currently going on, as long as it has related to Genshin Impact and it is searched on Google, which includes YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, anything that you can get from Google counts towards this. So all these are accumulated through this. Now, unfortunately...
Listen, people. Half of this stuff... Listen. Alright? I don't want you guys to misinterpret this graph. Half of this is Rule 34. People searching for... Okay, let's just admit it. Get that out of the way first, alright? Let's just get that out of the way. Like, we no need to sit here and pretend like people are out here searching for guide videos, you know, like, walkthroughs, playthroughs. Alright, let's just admit to that and move on. Yeah, or weird taboo tags. Like, how much of YouTube content, or like, okay, when YouTubers say, oh, Genshin is not doing good, players are quitting, they're not watching anymore, it's like, well, like, Genshin content hasn't evolved, right? Look at the game. Look at the game and how it was back in 1.0 as to now. Can you say content creators evolved the same amount as the game has? And we keep on ragging on Hoyoverse, saying, you are not giving us this, you're not giving us this. But what have we done? Really? As a freaking community, as content creators. You know, stop bitching because we haven't improved our content to the level that Hoyoverse has improved their content. And yet we're here sitting as content creators, but like, improve your content! Get better! Get better! You know, I just think sometimes it's not fair, right? Sometimes it's just not fair. For Hoyoverse. For the most part, I think criticism is needed. It's too much, though, sometimes.
We cannot directly derive an exact number of players through this data because MiHoYo, much like all Chinese companies, don't make that kind of information public. There's no place you can go to find records of the active players in the game. We can only find the accounts made, and a lot of people are pointing to the fact that there are way more accounts than there were is the fact that people are playing more. That is blatantly incorrect, because the amount of accounts that have been created is not directly indicative of the amount of players playing.
He's gonna talk about re-rolling, isn't he? I think on average, like average per player, there's probably at least like what 7 to 10 accounts re-rolled per player on average. Maybe some people don't re-roll, but I don't know. I re-rolled, like everyone I knew who played the game re-rolled. I reroll 22. I didn't reroll. Yeah, like I know some people don't reroll, but like on average, if you like take the people who did, and maybe it's like around 7 or so. Does that mean does that mean the amount of accounts are inflated by like 5 to 7 times or something? I don't know. We need to know the numbers. I like yes, track like if you are taking accounts created and saying that's the active player base, there's something wrong with you. Okay. But if like, is there a way to track active players? I don't know, right? Okay. Before we go any further, I agree with him. More and more players are quitting Genshin. But have you guys seen how aggressive Genshin has been with their ads? Whenever Genshin goes this hard on ads, it's because they're bleeding players. They are trying to fill the missing seats, the empty seats, right? It makes sense. Sumeru is about to drop. You don't just advertise when Sumeru drops. Yes, you will heavily advertise when Sumeru drops, but you need to have a build-up. You need to make sure people get gradually coming into the game as a huge patch is dropping, and then when the huge patch drop, a lot of these people already kind of trickled in, and then you hit them with the hard stuff. So yes, we know that more and more players are quitting because Hoyoverse are running more and more ads. Like, it's so absurd how many ads they're running. It is crazy. It should be illegal how many ads they're serving us.
Example, when people start a new account on a gacha game, what do? They re-roll their characters.
There it is.
So when they re-roll their characters, they are remaking accounts. So now there's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 accounts for one person. Not only that, that's not considering the amount of active accounts, which is why I specifically said that earlier. There's a bunch of accounts in the game, and only 7 of them are active, and there's 400 accounts. That doesn't mean there's 400 people playing, it means there's 7 people playing and 400 accounts have been made in the history of the game. So active accounts is what I mean by players, why more people are quitting the game. And that's why we're using this, because unfortunately, MiHoYo doesn't give us any direct way of figuring out how popular the game is. We do know the amount of money it makes, but again, this is a flawed system, let me explain why. So these are the...
Okay, so after looking at this, I've been thinking about it as well. How do they know how much money is dropped? Is it the amount of Primo Gems spent? But then if you're talking about Primo Gems, people could literally save up for half a year. And that's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of Primo Gems. And it's not necessarily all real money, is it? How are they tracking this? And I know it's an estimate, but what are they basing the estimate off? I guess we have to go see the site, right? Because if they're basing it off of acquisition or simply rolled, because if they're taking Primo Gems and they're running a simple algorithm saying, okay, this amount of Primo Gems equals this amount of, like, 1 Primo Gems equals X amount of dollars, and this is the amount of Primo Gems that was spent on this banner, and therefore this banner made this much money for them. Well, that's not accurate now, is it? Right? Yeah, so if they track the in-game purchases, but then again, in-game purchases doesn't necessarily mean that much money was spent. For example, I'll give you guys an example. Let's say I just got a big fat paycheck, right? I got a big fat paycheck from work of $25,000, right? Oh, great job. End of the year bonus. And I just dump half of that. I dump 10 grand. Okay, I know 10 grand is not the half of $25,000. Don't meme. I'm just trying to make a point here. Okay, I got $20,000, and I dump half of that, 10 grand, into the game, and I pull a C2 Yellen. Do you think I spend 10 grand to pull a C2 Yellen? Doesn't work either, right? They're not taking into account that, you know, in some seasons or sometimes some people might get an influx of income. They might be dumping money. So it is shoddy at best. It should give us a general idea of how good a character is performing. But again, when it comes to specific placements, like number 1 and number 5 could be swapped around here and there. For example, Venti could be higher than Raiden. Yelan could be lower than Raiden. Zhao and Kokomi. Who is that? Ayato and who is that? Ayato and Venti? Ayato and Venti could be better than Yelan. You can't really say definitively, but it's a good estimate here and there, give or take, right? I don't think like Yellen is going to be down here lower than Kazuo. I don't think it's going to be that big of a discrepancy, but we have to take into account the fact that this is this is shoddy at best. Let's put it that way. So yeah,
banners and their sales. Now notice how this chart shows popularity. Obviously, here is a spike in players, about right here, September 5th. September 5th was around when 2.0 came out. It was around when Inazuma came out. One of the most sold banners at the time was Raiden Shogun. She made $9 million. That's pretty good. And it would correlate with the fact that, oh, this
$9 million on iOS in China. Just saying, however. Just saying.
was when the game was most popular at that time, and has been in a while, so therefore it must be when the most people were playing. Well, no, because according to this chart, the time most people were playing was Klee's banner, and Klee's all the way down here. I'm sure you're starting to see where the problem is here, and then you can be like, oh, well, that's just a one-time thing. It's actually not, because here we are, a week later, again, we're still on a spike, and that was when Kokomi came out, and she's one of the lowest on here. So the amount of money that the game makes is not directly indicative of how many people are playing.
Kokomi. Wait, where was her rerun? Where is her rerun? She's up here in rerun with Shogun, right? Oh, Kokomi Shogun banner. I wish they would tell us how many. I swear, how many people went back to get Kokomi is probably like maybe like this much. Like around here. I think a little around half. I think Kokomi and Raiden probably shared this banner close to half. Maybe Raiden still was a little more, but you know, a lot of people went back to get Kokomi. Great to see it.
Now, you can also say, oh, that's circumstantial. Yelan has made the most money, so currently we're in the biggest high of players. Also, again, no, we're not, because as you can see right here, we're pretty much as low as it's ever been. I think the lowest it's ever been was 33, and we're at 34. So it's getting down there for as low as it's ever been. So no, the amount of money the game makes is not directly
That's my channel.
indicative of the player makes. Now, I can tell you why this is happening, and it's because the amount of players playing does not directly introduce the amount of money making, because this is a free-to-play game. And unfortunately, what ends up happening in free-to-play games is a lot of people play the game for XYZ reason, it depends on whatever the update is, and they won't spend money. So, for example, the reason why Klee's banner is doing so well, back when there were more players playing than ever, that doesn't have anything to do with the amount of people playing, or maybe it did at the time. Now, when we go to Raiden Shogun's banner, half as many people are playing as before. I keep going back to this, might as well close it. Half as many people are playing it as before, but it's still making less money. The reason for this is because as more and more people quit playing the game, the people that are left playing it are people that have been introduced to what is called sunk cost fallacy. Now, I could go into the business.
Okay, so here's the thing I also want to comment on is that I think for the most part, people who have quit the game were never big spenders to begin with. Sure, you definitely are gonna lose a couple big whales here and there, but for the most part, people who were okay dropping like thousands of dollars in Genshin could afford to continue spending in Genshin while picking up other games here and there, doing things here and there. Like the Welkin BP players, they've been doing it for over a year. They likely will continue doing it. There are people who just want to build their teams. Like my point here is that people who quit the game were never really, because they don't think the game is going in a good direction, right? So they quit, they got bored, something else caught their attention, they decided to move on with Genshin, which is normal. But they were never really the key players contributing to the income for HoYoverse. I just don't think HoYoverse really even sees a problem here, right? There's no problem here. Just serve more ads, run more ads. We're gonna get more players, and with these new players, listen, I play games outside of Genshin, okay? And I talk to people in China. I talk to friends who live in all corners of the world. No one knows what Genshin Impact even is. You guys think like, oh my god, how can they not know what Genshin Impact is? Like we are like frogs sitting in a well, looking at the opening, thinking that's our entire world. But there's an entire world out there where they don't even know there's a frickin' well here. You see what I'm saying? Genshin is tiny in the grand scheme of things, and HoYoverse knows that there's so many more players that they can reach, and they will not lose sleep just because they lost the first wave, the vanguard of the players, the first group that riled in. It's like a business. Do you think when a boss hires somebody for a call center, they're like, oh my god, I need to make sure this person never ever leaves? No, the second the boss hires you, they're ready to lose you because it's a high turnover job. Meaning people will come in, people will leave. Accept that as a reality and move on. Because if you can't as a business, then maybe you should reevaluate, you should reevaluate your competence as an owner. So HoYoverse understands that turnover is going to be a huge factor in sustaining Genshin. Right? I think for people who don't understand this process, that you're gonna lose players, you're gonna gain players, you're gonna lose players, you're gonna gain players. If you don't understand this process, gonna be a little yikes. Just saying that.
This reason of why sunk cost fallacy is a thing, but I don't think I have to. Essentially, all you need to know is the more money people put into something, the less they feel like they can walk away from it. So let's say I've put $5,000 into building a new car and it's nowhere near functional. It's going to be very hard for me to walk away from the car and be like, okay, well, it's never going to start working because I've already put $5,000 in it. Gacha games are the same. I put $5,000 into this game. How can I walk away from it now? So what ends up happening is as more and more of the casual players leave or hardcore players burn out, what's left are the people that have spent metric tons of money. So again, that's not a good indication of how many people are playing because it's more so an indication of how many whales are playing the game. And as we all know, most people that play Genshin Impact never end up spending money. Now, one more thing I want to bring up, and I thought this was obvious. People are saying that the game's more popular than it's ever been, and as I've shown, this graph, while not 100% accurate, is pretty solid. And for those of you that are still concerned about it, first things first, these are used in actual court cases to indoctrinate people. So no, these things are pretty solid, and while they are not 100% accurate, I can actually give you more evidence to prove they are. So this was, let's look at the peak. The peak of all players, or peak of all interest of the game. It's not highlighting properly, so, oh well. I guess I'll just go fuck myself. It was around September the 30th, alright? So we can go on to, this is Tectone's channel. This is a really big content creator. So if we go back about a year and a half, and this might take a while, we can see some of his most
Okay, this is so sad because if you go look at all these big content creators when they were at the height of the game, when the game first came out and like it was so popular at the time, they were pulling in like they could literally record a video of them talking about like how green the grass is and they could get 500,000 views. Nowadays, if you want to get 500,000 views, you better have the name Twanto somewhere in your YouTube account, because people don't care about the most part of what Genshin has to do, what you have to say or tell or forget. Like even guide videos, like the top guide videos were getting like 1 million plus views, people. Like, understand, nowadays, like Ziox, Braxophone, the top guide content creators. I think there's also Sevi Plays, right? These are some of the more well-known like bona fide guide channels. They're pulling in like what 500,000-600,000. Like that's half of what it was at the. Can you imagine losing half of your viewer? Like that's half of your income. Imagine anybody who has a job right now. Imagine if your income one day would just cut in half. Like that's tough to go through for anyone. Granted, it's like, oh my god, stop crying. You're making like frickin' 10 grand a month, and you're making 5 grand. Oh boo, frickin' woo. I understand. I get it. It's just it's a blow. And Tectone, look at this. This is 600,000, 300,000. Tectone's pulling in less than 100,000. Listen, look at this, people. Like this, like. 95, 93, 132. Genshin, I finally got it right. So positivity, Genshin. I mean, Tectone. Maybe positivity is the way to go, right? They thought their account was good. It wasn't. Okay. So I haven't really been watching a lot of the stuff, but I do watch Tectone. And you see, some of his views have been dropping down to like a third. Some of them less than a third. That's like, imagine the same. You were making 10 grand a month and now you're making 3,000 a month. Is he struggling though? Absolutely not, right? I'm not saying like, oh my god, content creators are struggling, but it's a huge blow because content creators will always try to look at themselves and say, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not getting the views? Why can I not get back to the point I was, when I was getting 800,000 views? Right? How a whale does Spiral Abyss. Try making that video now. I dare any content creator to make this exact same video right now. Any content creators whose name isn't Twanto or Dish, make this video now and see how many views you get. Like Tectone can make this exact same video now and it'll probably get like 70,000-80,000 views. Why? Because it's been done so many times. Same with the guide videos. It's not that less people are playing the game. It's less people need help playing the game. When you watch a guide video for a year and a half, listen, people, it only takes you 3-4 months to complete a course in freaking calculus, all right? In like advanced calculus courses could take like part 1 and part 2 takes less than a year. 8-9 months for an advanced calculus class. That's going from a basic rudimentary understanding of calculus and how it works to derivatives and fucking like upside down graphs of freaking mathematical charts. It takes you 8-9 months. Is Genshin really more complicated than that? If you are watching Genshin guide videos day in, day out, you're learning the game, do you think after a year you're still going to need the freaking assistance to be like, oh my god, a new Hydro character came out with the artifact set. I wonder how do I build this character? Right? It's the natural course of things. Players don't need this anymore. And for entertainment, they don't need certain types of entertainment anymore. For example, a guy who always, like, for example, if I started juggling a ball right now with my freaking hand, and then eventually moved onto my feet, you guys might be like, oh my god, Walrus, that's pretty cool, right? That's in the moment. But if I do that next stream, and the stream after that, and the stream after that, and the stream after that, it becomes expected. It stops becoming impressive. It's the same thing with general content creation and content creators. It's that if you do the same thing over and over and over again, there will come a point that where people don't find that interesting anymore. Look at all the .exes, another great example. Eula.exe. Look at these channels. This is a great Roffler. He's like Slexine Gaming. Oh my god, who remembers Slexine Gaming? I remember I watched a lot of his stuff back then. Look at that. 1.5, 1 mil, 2.3, 1 like million, blah, 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 blah. And now Shinchu.exe came out 6 days ago. 39,000. Yellen.exe 134,000. Ayato goes to the chasm.exe 48,000. And you compare that to the millions. It's just, yes, these things work, but they only work for a given amount of time before you need to start doing something new. Right? You can't rely on this forever. Because people's tastes change, memes change, right? Relevancy changes. So, wait, where did the video go?
Okay.
Oh my god. Did I search with his video tab? Wait.
Burn out. What's left are the people that have spent metric tons of miles or playing the game. And as we all know, most people that play Genshin Impact never end up spending money. Now,
okay,
one more thing I want to bring up, and I thought this was obvious. People are saying that the game's more popular than it's ever been, and as I've shown, this graph, while not 100% accurate, is pretty solid. And for those of you that are still concerned about it, first things first, these are used in actual court cases to indoctrinate people, so
yes.
I guess I'll just go fuck myself. Popular videos
here we were
around this time. Let me see. Yeah, here they are. Klee's banner, 400,000, 180,000, 240,000, 500,000, 400,000, 400,000, 300,000, 250,000, 300,000, 350,000, 250,000. So he's very consistently getting about 200, 300,000, 400,000 views, right? Obviously, there are some outliers here, like his Among Us videos. I don't think they did that well. So that was around the peak. Right?
Wow,
so we
that
go
hurts.
all the way up to his modern content. We can go back. As we can see, it's about as low as it's ever been right now. Go back to Tecton's channel. Well, look at that. 76,000, 75,000, 95,000, 92,000, 131,000, 200,000, 100,000, 107,000, 101,000, 158,000, etc., etc. So this is directly indicative of this because, as I said earlier,
not quite. Okay, because if you look at the chart, oh, damn it. Okay, if you look at the charts here, when the game first came out, I think Tectone was one of the founding fathers, let's say, and he sustained those views for many months. Like if you go look at this chart, he's just like even like at around this time, I don't know why I'm pointing at my screen. I guess I only have my mouse here. Even around this time, there were like Tenha, Tectone, MTash were pulling in like 300,000 views. Ziox was getting like over 1 million for some of his guide videos. That's here. And if you take that line and go over here, we're not that far away from there. And this is why I've evaluated this very graph, and I came to the conclusion it's not that people aren't playing the game, it's that people are actively choosing to not watch content creators talk about the game because they have nothing to contribute. There's very little. Most content creators, of course, including myself, have to actually contribute to your enjoyment of the game. You know we exist, but you don't actually follow us for our day-to-day activities, videos, or our weekly uploads or whatever, because it doesn't actively contribute to your enjoyment of the game. That's what this is showing. And Tectone has a lot of subscribers, but a lot of them have quit. A decent chunk has quit, but a decent chunk probably just feels like, there's a lot of recycled stuff here. When you see a Tectone video in the title, you pretty much know what the video is before even watching it. He's gonna yell, he's gonna laugh, he's gonna make some jokes, he's gonna you know, say some stuff, maybe controversial. He's not gonna care what you think. He's gonna say, "I don't care what people think." It's a Tectone video. He doesn't really have anything in there that could really be like, "Oh wow, that's interesting." It's pure entertainment. But then when you talk about entertainment, it seems like Twanto's kind of entertainment, Dish, Twanto, these type of challenge based or just more casual, more memey, like edited, even to a degree, more children friendly content definitely is favored amongst the community right now. More positivity, right? Twanto, Dish, they never really complain. They just do their thing. They have fun, and they look like they're having fun. It's not like, "Hey people, let's play Genshin Impact, yay!" No, they're actually in there. They're engaged. They're into the game, and I think that's what people want to see. It's a very contagious feeling when somebody is enjoying themselves, and when a content creators, like, you have to be relevant and positive to succeed in the space of Genshin. If you're not relevant but you're really positive, nobody knows you exist. If you're relevant but you're not positive, you give off a bad vibe. Why would people want to spend 6, 7, 8 hours chilling in your stream when all you do is mope and glope and cry and moan, and once in a while you say something funny? Nobody wants to be in that atmosphere. It's a bad environment, right? Nobody wants to get off work, come home, and hear you cry. When deep down we don't say it, but we know you've been just chilling in your room, streaming and making money, while I was outside in the heat driving a pickup truck or moving weight, or sitting in a office answering phone calls from angry white men in their 70s. And you come home, and then these people are making tens of thousands, like multiple tens of thousands of dollars a month, and they're like, "Oh, my life sucks, this game sucks, my views are down." Hello? It's difficult, right? It's difficult. We need to put this into perspective, and content creators needs to understand that it's not about them. It's about the viewers, the experience.
It's ever been right now. Go back to Tectone's channel. Well, look at that. 76,000, 75,000, 95,000, 92,000, 131,000, 200,000, 100,000, 107,000, 101,000, 158,000, etc., etc. So this is directly indicative of this, because as I said earlier, it documents all YouTube searches is included in this. Now again, if you still don't believe me, this is Blap's channel. Again, we're going to go back to September the 30th.
Oh, Blap, I completely forgot about Blap.
2021-ish? 2020? 2020, yes. Okay, 2020. So again, at the peak of the game, 3 million, 2.8 million, 3 million, 4.8 million, 2.1 million, 2.3 million, etc., etc.
There's also another thing I need to mention to you guys, is that anyone could be this successful. A lot of this, don't look at these numbers and think like, "Oh my god, Bwap is, a genius in content creation." No, Bwap was in the right place at the right time with the right personality and right vibes to encapsulate his, like, the audience, and his success comes from that. And it's evident that even now he's sustaining good, like really good numbers. He didn't bleed as much away, because once people get to know you better as a person, as a content creator, they will gravitate slightly towards your person. Like, sure, if Bwap one day started like selling like blockchain, maybe he's gonna lose like 90%. And it has happened to other content creators. But as long as you stay true to what people started watching you for, and you just continue delivering that content and vibe, for the most part, you're gonna do very well, even if you repeat your content. It's just sometimes you, like, as a commentary channel like myself, as a outspoken channel like Tectone, like Soul, we can say things that will permanently scar our relationship with our audience. Like, I've had viewers who literally, and you guys likely see this in other people's channels, like, "Oh, sorry, I'm subscribing, like I can't do this anymore." Like the last 3 videos you posted, I'm not really vibing with you in those videos, and for that reason, I'm out. So that's going to happen. But if you're just, here reacting to the game, and you're like, "Oh, having fun and giving off good vibes," people came for the good vibes. And as long as you're still delivering that, they're not going to leave. I'm gonna have good days, I'm gonna have bad days. Not so much for Boab. Boab is always gonna be there, cracking jokes, having fun, going through the story with you guys.
So now we go back. Lowest it's ever been right now. 99,000, 118,000, 400,000, 540,000, 617,000, etc., etc. So as you can see, there's a solid line here. Now some of you can be saying, okay, well maybe that's only the big YouTubers. These are some buddies of mine. This is EroticWalruss's account. As we can see here, sorry to put you on blast like this, dude. We go to all of his videos. Sort by most popular. Okay, well that didn't work. Hold on, let me try again.
It's on the right side, yeah.
Oh, look at that. They were around a year ago, 11 months ago. That was around Inazuma. A year ago, a year ago, a year ago, a year ago. And then we got some 8 months.
Look at my League of Legends video. Can we get this to 100,000 views, please? Ken Batters is abuse to climb out of gold. Dude, I remember when I made this video, I was just a plat player. I was like plat 3 or something like that, and I was like missing all my CS. I remember this so damn well. I was missing all my CS, and people were like, wait, so you're telling me I don't need to be able to CS to get out of gold? And I know Cap told them, yeah, you don't even need to know how to CS. You don't even need to know anything to get out of gold. You just need to abuse some of these tips, and you literally will. You just need to abuse people's like shitty mentality at times.
So that was around Inazuma. So again, this is not contradicting our chart like you might think. 140,000, that was around a year ago, that was the peak, and then we have 11 months ago, that was when Inazuma came out. So as you can see, it's pretty strongly choreographing to the graph here. This pretty much goes along the chart, and this is how we know that a lot of people that are currently playing the game, or at very least active players, are not playing the game. Now, a lot of you can be like, okay, well you can actually prove us things in the game. You're right, I can't, and neither can you, because as I said earlier, we don't have any access to active accounts, so we don't know how many people are actually playing the game, and there's no way we can solidly prove that.
Southeast Asia is some of the strongest supporters for this game. Like Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia. Like you guys, like Southeast Asia is straight up carrying this game alongside China. All right, so I don't know why, and I think South America as well. It's Southeast Asia, China, South America. U.S. Canada isn't really like anywhere near the top when it comes out. We're like on the 3rd, 4th page, and then Japan is a really big one as well when it comes to income and player base. But apart from that, I don't know about Korea. Oh, South Korea. Oh, there it is. It's literally right there. Korea. It's apparently Genshin is huge in Korea as well. Don't see that many Korean content creators talking about it. Maybe they have their own sub communities. Yeah. Once Southeast Asia discovered something and liked it, we're a natural view bot for free. Like the thing is, I found people from Southeast Asia to be just more passionate, and this is no cap. When I engage with people in the comments in my DMs, they're very friendly, they're very passionate, and they're very excited. They're always excited. They always want to hear more. They want to know more. And when they get excited, they will let you know they're excited, right? There will be people from the States when this is how they look when they're excited. This is how they look when they're sad, happy, bored, pissed. It's the same. They don't let their emotions show as much, and I don't know why. And I've said this way in the past. I like the Pinoy gang, Philippines. They're so passionate. I love conversing with them. I love talking with them because I can sit there and talk with them for like 30, 40 minutes, and it just feels, it just feels amazing. But Chinese people don't do that. Sparks the Reaper says that's just Asians. Yeah, but Chinese people don't do that. Japanese people don't do that. Koreans don't do that. It's just Southeast Asia. I don't know why. But hey, I'm just saying, Southeast Asia be carrying the hell out of Genshin Impact when it comes to online positivity and enjoyment. Kudos. Can we get a raise for Southeast Asia, please? Can as Southeast Asians get a raise all across the board?
This is the only thing we can really do to show how popular the game is being. And again, I know some of you pointed out money, but as I said earlier, this is not directly contributes to how many people are playing. It's not like every dollar this has is worth one player. That's not how it works. So yes, I do believe that less and less people are playing Genshin Impact right now, and I do believe that's a fact. There's no real room to argue with that. A lot of people are quitting the game. And if you don't believe me, we can go to other content creators, like people that got paid to play the game. Actually, no, fuck it. I don't have to do that. There's a lot of people that have been playing this game that
People who paid to play the game, they quit once they uploaded that video, bro. Their lifespan for the game was when they got that email that they're getting paid for it, to leveling their account to like AR10, make the video, and they are already gone, baby. that's their entire Genshin journey.
they quit. If you don't believe me, ask any content creator. Hell, if you still think that Genshin is not at its lowest point of players, ask other YouTubers. Everybody who's in this community who knows what's going on will tell you that less people now are playing the game than they ever have, and it's simply due to burnout. Now, let's talk about one more thing, then I'll end the video. Do I think this will last? No. Because as we see right here, this is the start of the game. It was around the peak. It kind of died a little bit, and it got a little more popular.
This literally looks... You know what this chart reminds me of? It reminds me of like 2008, when the housing market collapsed. Wait a minute. Where's 2008? Okay, never mind. Maybe it's more indicative over here. A more recent one. That's 14 years ago. I guess, look, in hindsight, it wasn't so bad, was it now? It wasn't so bad. 1,400, 1,500, and then... Oh... That's like 50%. Come on, people. It wasn't that bad. And then there's 29. There's 3,300. Okay, down to 2,400. Okay, maybe it was pretty bad. No, I was just looking at this like, wait, that really reminds me of like what happened in 2008.
Popular every single update. It gets a little spike, boom. Inazuma comes out. Everybody's playing the game again. Oh, it dies a little bit.
NOG says, "Oof, yeah. How did you get through that time, Walrus? Bro, that's when my family, you know, went ham. My mom was really smart, had the foresight of holding on to cash. I mean, listen, Chinese people always hold on to cash. All right, we. I mean, not always, but like we like to have some cash on hand. We never really go that hard. Yeah, we bought some of the homes that we live in, like some of the home that she owns nowadays were bought during 2008. Yes, it's just magical, right? Isn't it? It's magical how we just wait for opportunity and we just pounce in the right moments.
Spike, dies, spike, dies, spike, dies. Now here's what's happening. Game comes out, everybody plays it, alright? Everybody gets bored of it. Boom, update comes out, spike. Bored, update, bored, update, bored, update, bored, update, bored, update, big update. Now here's the problem. Nowhere near as many people came back when the big Inazuma update came out as it was at its peak. And then we see a reoccurring pattern here. Bored, update, bored, update.
I don't know. I think, honestly, I made a video talking about this, that right now the number of active players are still increasing, but it doesn't tell us if it's like North American players or like Chinese players or what. Let's say if more players are joining the game in China, that's not going to reflect in YouTube views, right? If an influx of players comes in an area where they don't really watch certain content creators, because our scope is still extremely narrow. We're looking at pretty predominantly North American content creators, right? Predominantly. Yes, there are some Southeast Asian content creators. There are some people who reside in Korea. But I'm just saying, for the most part, we're looking at North American content creators, and there is a possibility, I'm not going to even say a possibility, there is a irrefutable likelihood that people just don't want to watch the same people talking about the same thing day in, day out. Right? It's just not as interesting anymore. People have moved on. They just want to enjoy the game in silence, or they now only rely on Reddit communities, or they already found a great sub community where they can get all the information from. That's it. They don't need to. I mean, it's never really about a necessity. It's about the curiosity. People were trying to find communities. People were trying to find people who are like-minded to kind of group together with and enjoy the game together. But as time went on, they have a less and less need of that reliance, and they've broken away from that to form sub-communities, which is great. I think that's like the natural course of things, right?
Board, update, board, etc., etc. Now, what's going on here is people are playing the game, then they get bored, and then they quit. However, as I'm sure you're noticing, every single time there's an update, the spike goes down lower and lower and lower. Now, this is a trend that usually happens with all gacha games. It's not just Genshin. This is the modern way things go, because people eventually, you can only fish them in so many times before they get away. And that's what's currently going on, because people are joining the game to play it, and then they get bored, and then they come back, and then they get bored, and then they can only get bored so many times before they just don't want to come back anymore, because they know they're just going to get bored again. And that's currently the problem Genshin's facing. Now, again, it's not going to die anytime soon. They make way too much money, and Genshin's been really smart about exhausting the resources, but I'm not talking about the game dying. I'm talking about why people are quitting the game, and that's what the video is about to say. Now, if you've made it this far in the video and you still don't believe that people are quitting the game, and you still think it's more popular than it's ever been, I honestly don't know what to tell you. I think at that point, there's no getting through to you. You're being willfully ignorant, and there's nothing I can really say to get through to your head.
Those people never made it to the end of the video anyways, all right? Those people left after the first, 3 minutes, let's be honest. And some probably left after they click on your video, they'll pause the video, type their comment, and they're gone. No need to worry about those people.
Now, I know that the means I use to get to the conclusion I have is not necessarily solid by any means, but again, using the evidence that we have based off the active members of the community, this is as close as I can get. And if you think that my evidence was cherry-picked, by all means, I encourage you to go out, do your own research, and get back to me on it, and you'll find pretty much all channels, with the exception of a few, mine being one of them, we're not really... Okay, let me rephrase that. You will find that most channels follow the same path, with a few exceptions, including me. So go out, do your own research, try not to be super biased about it, and if you come back and you still think this...
Yeah, try not to be super biased about it. That never works, all right? These people who leave these comments, I've come to the conclusion that there is never a way we can get through to them. You will never, ever get through to them, because they have a preconceived bias of not only your opinion, but you as a creator. So it's one thing to have people try to be non-biased towards what you're saying, but when they're not only already biased to what you're saying, but also you as a person, hey, this is no going back. And here's another thing, right? A lot of people like to bring up big names. Saw somebody was saying watch, they'll go away and go watch Markiplier play Minesweepers or something, but we have to understand that content creators, when you get to a certain size, they are literally... But the key thing is you have to stay somewhat relevant. Somewhat relevant. Because when you get to a certain size in content creation, you become, for some reason, I don't know why, you become the go-to expert for any sort of news, drama, content. For example, right, people will go to Asmongold and they can sit there and hear him talk about like global finances, or his views on something that's completely irrelevant from his field of expertise, because they want his opinion, right? When you become that level of content, that level of a content creators, it stops being about what you are saying, but how relevant you can be. Like, are you keeping up to date with the new games that are being released? Are you keeping up to date with the new dramas or content? Like right now, how many people in chat knows about what's going on with Quantum TV? You guys know the whole Quantum TV thing? Right, like that's pretty big. Like Ludwig is now talking about it. Asmongold talks about it. All these people are kind of grouping together, talking about it. Right, that's the kind of stuff. Like you get into that league of content creation. That's the kind of stuff you need to be updated with. Yeah, like a lot of people won't know. Like, but what I'm just saying is, there's a group of people on the internet who will flock to these bigger creators, and they want them to talk about things that are more relevant. It's the same thing with Markiplier, PewDiePie. I guess PewDiePie is different. PewDiePie is more of a vlogger nowadays, right? So there's an evolution as a content creator. You always start by cultivating and growing an audience of common interest. What was that for Asmongold? World of Warcraft. Went from World of Warcraft eventually to other MMOs. He cultivated a community. He then went into commentary. He went to reaction videos, and he just does everything now, right? Like he grew initially from a place of common interest with other people. Maki says Twanto and Anthony Chen are the best of Genshin content creators. Yeah, I think those two are doing really good, mostly because they are now smart enough to integrate their everyday life content into their creators' feeds, right? You're starting to see them move. I think they just moved recently, and they're just having fun, chilling, vlogging. Because if you sit and talk about this game, that's all you're gonna reach to people. That's all you're gonna be for people. That's all people will see you as. Oh, you're just the guy who sits and talks about Genshin or plays Genshin. But if you take them outside of that, and if there are people willing to follow you and see what you're doing in your everyday life, that's how you grow as a content creator. So maybe the answer for Tectone and these other creators who are losing views is maybe they ought to branch out and do some stuff. Asriel_15 says, so what's Quantum TV? Okay, it's not what you think it is. It's not like some new TV that's coming out. It's not about tech. It's a content creator feud drama that's been going on for like a month now. I don't really want to poke the beehive in this one because apparently Quantum TV is a little unhinged. So I mean, I'm not even showing his content, so I guess he can't do anything to me. Yeah, I can talk about it. It's literally this dude who's been abusing copy strike laws and going after smaller channels. It's like the equivalent of someone who's my size, which I think he's really close to. He's like around 60,000 subs. He targets people who have like a couple hundred subs, like growing content creators, and they copy strike their videos when they talk bad about him. And he's like he's outspokenly I can't really say it because the guy goes after people who badmouth him, and he says like defamation and stuff, but he said some questionable stuff in the past, so he's as people have brought up, and as somebody who made a commentary about him critiquing his behavior, he did not respond well. He doxed the person. He threatened the person. He like messaged his mom and threatened, like sent a somewhat threatening text, right? And which did not fly by the content creator really well. This is a bigger content creator, which then the bigger content creator reported him to YouTube, which YouTube didn't do anything, and then the content creator got upset and made a satirical tweet talking about how it's okay to do this stuff because YouTube apparently doesn't care. And then YouTube took action against that person because he acted out of line, because he actively said he was going to dox YouTube as a joke, but YouTube did not like that. All right, YouTube did not like that one bit and ended up demonetizing the guy's entire channel. However, Quantum TV is still chilling, doing his own thing because Quantum didn't step out of line. So that's pretty much what it is. That's like, that's what people are talking about nowadays. But as you guys can see, a content creator needs to be able to branch out to do other things, right? And if you're only relying on Genshin forever to brand yourself, you're gonna find yourself having a bad time here and there. Angelo saying, I'm behind on the stream, but I actually do think that revenue is a reasonable indicator of active player base because people place way too much on whales when most likely low to middle spenders account for more. Yeah, I think the people who buy Welkin BP every day and once in a while pays for a character, let's say they're 20 pulls away from a 5-star and they buy 20 pulls worth of gems. Those people will account for the majority of the spenders. And I think, yeah, Genshin has lost players, but it's just because the newer players haven't really needed to watch YouTube videos. The newer wave of players never really went through the phase of, developing a relationship with these content creators. And to a degree, I think people like Twanto and the more successful content creators right now are just going to get more and more successful because while new players are coming in, Twanto is going to be one of the first content creators that these newer players are going to associate with, right? And if they need guides, they'll find some of the guide content creators, and that's going to be it. They don't need anything else. And they'll watch guide content creators for an X amount of time before they realize they don't need guides anymore. They'll never really get access to the smaller creators, like it's just the space is starting to mature and the community is starting to mature, and the newer players coming in don't interact with content creators the same way anymore. It's really just the top dogs kind of gathering all the new players, and then slowly as the newer players look around on the internet and sees maybe they'll pick up a guy here, pick up a guy there, but apart from that, it is what it is. I think it's nothing to be surprised about. Losing viewership, the game shouldn't be, the success of the game shouldn't be really associated with its viewership. It's only to a degree, not too much. I think we're putting too much emphasis on how many views people are getting versus how successful the game is. I think the game is doing fine. Income-wise, they're doing fine. And that's all really that needs to be said when it comes to Genshin, because Hoyoverse, all they care about is income. Hoyoverse don't care about Tectone's viewership, Walrus's viewership. Like hell, like Twanto can blip and disappear and Hoyoverse probably wouldn't even know what happened. Right? All they care about is income. If we look at the income charts, look at the income graph, the revenue stuff, it's been consistent. They're still pulling in top dollars for their banners. Don't care, all right? They don't care. I don't know why Genshin doesn't care about its CCs, because they've outgrown CCs. They don't need us anymore. In the beginning, they did, but it was a mutual thing, right? Like we were like, well, not me, but the bigger content creators were talking about Genshin, and they made a fortune talking about it. And Hoyoverse, it's like a mutual beneficial thing. And Hoyoverse benefited from these content creators talking about Genshin to generate hype and excitement with the player base and got people to play the game. But for some reason, these content creators still think Hoyoverse owes them something. They don't. There are some people, like the amount of money they've made from Genshin alone, far already, like paid up for more than what they should have gotten. That's just my honest opinion. Like, if you at one point were pulling in consistently over 100,000 views just talking about Genshin, you should be set for life. Like, honestly, like the Tectone, if he was responsible with his money, should be set for life. with the amount of money he's gotten from Genshin. Same with Mtash. But if you actively choose to spend 30-40% of your income back into playing a game where you really don't need to be spending that amount of income, like you, and then now you know you're not getting as much, and you're like, oh, Hoyoverse, like they don't owe you anything. You know, you really struck gold with Genshin. Marcus Bugs, so basically they use you. No, like Hoyoverse used us as much as we used Hoyoverse. Like Genshin Impact, I'm saying. It's without the content creators, the game wouldn't have been as hype. But without the game, the content creators would have never blown up. Like, look at Mcash. Mcash has actively said this multiple times. He, out of the decade he's been on YouTube, I think around a decade he's been making, he has never, ever once reached the level of success he has with any game or content he's made until he made Genshin Impact. 10 years. He doubled his subscriber count in 1 month compared to 10 years of work. Listen to that. 10 years versus 1 month. Do you think that was because Mcash worked hard? He's been working hard. He's been working hard for 10 years, pumping out content. It's not about the content creators working hard. Yes, they worked hard. They made content. They grinded. They hustled and bustled, and they put out content for people to consume and enjoy, and they reap the rewards for it. But now, just because you cannot continue reaping those rewards doesn't mean suddenly Hoyoverse owes you anything. Suddenly you need to, like, suddenly Hoyoverse needs to, you know, make sure that you can get back to that. There's nothing Hoyoverse can really do to generate that level. It was like the right place at the right time type of thing, right? Even if Hoyoverse wanted to, Hoyoverse couldn't generate that anymore. Yeah, so a fair, mutually beneficial treatment. Exactly. It's just Hoyoverse took that money, reinvested it into other projects, continued developing their game, but whereas content creators got complacent, talking about the same thing day in, day out. Let's be honest here. Who put in more effort? The content creators making content, or Hoyoverse in developing the game? Some people will be like, oh, Hoyoverse didn't put in much effort. They like, yeah, but they just make, it's just to you, they make bad business decisions thinking, oh, they made an entire summer island just to take it away. Maybe it's coming back, right? But we cannot deny that Hoyoverse has reinvested what they've made from the initial wave, not just into Genshin, but into other portions of their business, whereas most content creators who have succeeded in Genshin have chosen to put that money back into MiHoYo's pockets. Right? You made 100 grand, you put 50 grand back into Hoyoverse. Is that reinvesting in yourself, your brand, or is that reinvesting into your addiction? So, before we criticize Hoyoverse, we ought to really take a look at ourselves, right? Like we're not really doing that hot when it comes to self-improvement. I think Genshin is doing fine. I've already talked about this topic from a statistical point of view, right? And Von Jolly says 2.5k on Tectone right now. The glory days of Genshin is long gone. No, the glory days of Tectone. we need to get this. We need to get this right. The glory days of Tectone is long gone. Genshin, the player base for the most part is fluctuating, yes, but it's just the viewership has gone down. The viewership has gone down, and it's not because the players have drastically decreased. There's a huge portion of the viewer base. Like, for example, Tectone's viewers could have easily migrated to Tectone. There could be 20% of Tectone's viewers who used to watch him, or 30%, now only watch Twanto, and they don't watch Tectone anymore. Right? Who knows? Like, it's the same with Enviosity. Another tragedy that I feel bad for people like Enviosity. Enviosity is like a bona fide, true, genuine dude, but his views are going down too. Like, oh my god, this is worse than Tectone. Like, look, the new Osu event needs to be permanent. 36K. Like, we're not out here ragging on people, but I'm just saying, like, I'm subscribed, but I don't watch the videos really too much. But 396,000, that was for the Genshin ad video, and I watched a bit of that. But for the most part, you see, like, most people have been in decline. Well, at his peak, people were looking to him for like 1 year, 1.9 million. Can you imagine? That's like, oh my god. That's like a 5%. That's like, he's only pulling in less than 5% of what he was pulling in from his peak. But you can see the views 4 months ago. So it's already like dropping here and there. But it's just, people moved on, man. People moved on. What can we say? It was never going to last. People need to understand they should have made smart choices with the income they had. Maybe Enviosity should have like moved on to a new kind of hype thing, whatever. When I don't know. I don't even know if he cares. Like, maybe Enviosity is like literally don't care, man. Like, don't care whatsoever. I Win to Lose is the most consistent. Yeah, because I Win to Lose content is not based off of himself. Whereas Enviosity, Tectone, they're trying really hard to move the content away from Genshin specifically, but also to themselves. They want to promote people to watch them. Like, oh, come watch my content because of me, Enviosity. And it hasn't translated very well. Whereas I Win to Lose Gaming, these other, like some of these other content creators, they make sure that their content is solely based on, I give you information and you give me your watch hour. That's the exchange that I Win to Lose, Aziox, and some of these other content creators do, right? Very, very, very few people can make it as a personality channel for Genshin Impact. Twanto is 1 in 10,000. All right, I'm telling you guys, there can only be one Twanto. There can only be one. Oh yeah, Mogadi is also a good one. Like, Mogadi hasn't really dropped that much too. Like, if we want to watch, we want to look at content creators who have stayed consistent, is that people like Mogadi. Yeah, look, Mogadi's doing well. 240, 400,000, 200,000, 200,000, 200,000. I mean, sure, like what was he getting at his peak? Probably also 1 year ago, right? 2.5 million, 2 million, 2 million. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, look at someone like Mogadi. This is pretty much close to what Enviosity was. Like, Enviosity was around here as well, right? Like 1 year ago. And look at Enviosity now. Enviosity is getting 5%, but Mogadi has sustained over 10% of what he's getting. Why? It's just a working formula. Mogadi has a working formula that he's been doing, right? He starts his videos with "Hey Moglets," which people used to meme on. Like, Tectone used to meme on this dude every now and then. Like, look, here's an interesting thing. You people say like, oh, Mogadi, like, he's funny, he's interesting, he's, you know, quirky. I love the way he edits, and then he plays another game. Plays Elden Rings. Kind of weird, right? When he's just playing Elden Ring for himself, trying to push his own personality, people don't care. But oh, look at this, another video, Elden Rings, something quest guide, suddenly 172k. It's not about you. It's always about a give and a take. A give and a take. What am I giving you guys? Right? What am I giving you guys? And what I'm taking from you guys is your time, right? You guys are actively choosing to sit here, engaging with me, talking with me about all this random stuff. What am I giving you, right? A perspective, my opinion. Maybe we're talking about a general topic that interests you. I'm giving you an engagement or a channel for engagement. I built a community here where you can come in and talk to other people as well. You don't just have to talk to me, right? But what are we giving? And I think a lot of the times content creators lose sight of that. It's like, oh, I'm giving you my time. I'm giving you me. I'm giving you my interesting take. Is that enough? Is that enough? Look at these big creators who are pulling in hundreds of thousands of views. Is that enough? Is their personality enough to carry any sort of content? People who only play Genshin, will they watch you because you're Mogari talking about or playing Elden Ring? Is that enough? Obviously not. But why? But then the question becomes, then why is it enough for some people? Why can Twanto do it, right? Why can Asmongold do it? Why can PewDiePie do it? Why can Markiplier do it? Why can all these other people do it, but I can't? For example, Mogadi, like, how come Mogadi couldn't just play Elden Rings? How come Mogadi can't go play any other games? But he has to stick to his formula, his working formula with Genshin. As long as he stick to that, it works. Why? The answer is because when people click this button, they essentially signed a contract. A contract they can opt out of anytime. And the contract stated, I will consume your content so long as you continue making the content that made me click this button for. And if you really, guys, if you really break this down, why did most people click this button for Mogadi? Was it because of his quirky personality? I think it's because of his perspective for Genshin. The way he presents his journey through Genshin is what made a lot of people ended up clicking this button for. So now, because part of the contract included that he had to play Genshin, they enjoyed his perspective and his take and his content for Genshin, so he's now stuck with Genshin. A lot of people would think like, oh, what about what about someone like Asmongold? Did people not subscribe to him because of his perspective and take on World of Warcraft? It takes many years for these people, like multiple years, to be able to break away from their initial thing. But as you break away, you need to scoop up more people. Like, you need to find more people to kind of engage with in the new space that you join. So it's unfortunate, but it's a very painful process, and there is a way to do it. It's very painful, it's very slow, and it takes a lot of luck. A lot of luck. It's like, a lot of people might think like, oh, these people are some of the most talented content creators Genshin has to offer. But a lot of it has to do with being at the right place at the right time. I'll be honest with you guys. Let's just use me as an example, so people don't think I'm ragging on other people for no reason. Like, I came into Genshin at a time, like, I got lucky, people. People don't understand this a lot of the times. I got really lucky. I came into the space at a time when competition was still like low. Like, I was late. I came into Genshin a month after the game came out. Like, I started making content for the game a month after the game came out. I was already late. If I came a month earlier, there is a chance that I'm probably gonna be like 100k plus. I'm just saying, because at the time there was no one to watch. There was nobody to watch. There was like the big people and the smaller people. Just hasn't really, like, nobody has really solidified themselves apart from some of the big content creators like Mtash, Zeal's Ambition, Damone Kim, Tectone, and that was pretty much it. Everyone else was just kind of floating around. It's just luck, people. I came in at a time when the space was still like very concentrated. Now it's become very diluted with content creators of all shapes and sizes, and I was able to carve out my little corner before it was too late. And some of these people carved out a much bigger corner. What's your thought on Razor Ninja though? Razor Ninja, I think I've seen a couple videos. Well, not videos. Like, some people like sent me like his streams, and I know he does a lot of critiquing for my videos, right? Like, he reacts to a lot of my videos. I think it's pretty cool because, to be honest, if I'm not saying something that's worth reacting to, am I really saying anything at all? Right? If I think it doesn't matter really that he's saying good things about me, saying bad things about me. If he has things to say about me, that's good. And I honestly find it right? I honestly find it that if he is able to, with his community, critique on the things I say, or just utterly disagree with the things I say, I think that is also helping his community band together, right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So in a way, like, I've seen a couple of the streams, and like, I've never seen a community band together so strong, like, until they start talking about me. They could be memeing on him, laughing at him, but the second my video comes up, they are one unit. And in a way, in a weird way, that warms my heart. You know, it makes me feel good. It's like, man, look at these guys go. Like, look at them holding hands, singing Kumbaya, and, you know, coming together as a unit. Just to shit on somebody. That's somebody being me. But it is whatever. Like, you can never get butthurt about a video game. Like, it doesn't matter what they can say. Like, I'm the most stupidest, like, dumbest, whatever thing you can say about me. Like, call me all the bad things. Like, I give the worst takes on Genshin. You know, like, blah 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 blah. Like, they can even say, like, I don't deserve you guys. Like, oh, like, I don't know why people watch him. He's so bad. It's like, you know, really, I don't know why people watch me either. Like, sometimes people throw me this question, right? They honestly do. Like, in the comment section, there's like, dude, like, how do you even have an audience for the amount of, like, BS you spout? And I'm just like, beats me, buddy. If I knew the answer to that question, maybe I'll have more people to listen to me spew some more BS. I'm just saying, I don't have a working formula, people. I don't, right? And neither do these other people. If you tell Tectone to give up his channel right now and start anew, will he be confident that he can make it back to his current size in the same amount of time it took him to do it initially? Maybe he can cultivate an audience again, but to grow this fast to get to where he is today in like 3-4 years from zero, maybe not. Just admit it. It's luck sometimes, people. It's just luck. Yeah, like if you took Twanto, erase people's memory of him, take away his current money, and put him back into place where he was back, like, beginning, like, and without Genshin to propel him, do you think Twanto can reach the size he is right now with 100% pure skill? With the time that he had? Listen, Twanto went from like out of nowhere to the place he is right now in the span of like half a year. Like 7-8 months maybe. And can you really replicate that level of success? It's luck. There's a huge portion of it is luck. No, I'm not denying his hard work. He put in a ton of work, effort to making it work. But listen, putting in hard work is only half the equation, baby. I don't know why I keep saying baby. Like, putting in the work is only half the equation. The other half is you have to be at the right place at the right time. And a lot of these people were, including myself. If you want to think of me as a somewhat relevant content creator in the space, listen, if I got people shitting on me left and right, I think I'm relevant enough, all right? I won't deny it. If people are responding to my videos, talking about them, even if they're taking a huge doo-doo on it with their community, having a good laugh, hey, if it gives them 20 minutes to have a good laugh at my expense, take it. Why not? I don't get why people get so upset. Like, I can open Tectone's thing right now and take a huge doo-doo on him, and I think he should be happy, because that means he's still relevant enough for people to pull up his content and take a doo-doo on it. And we are having a good laugh together. Are we not? Then he's making people happy at the expense of himself. So what? We're not threatening him. We're not going out of our way to dox him. We're not like hurting him. It's just like how these people tell me that, you know, I have bad takes, I'm stupid, I'm dumb. Like, if they're having a good laugh, you know, get a good chuckle out of it, That's fine. That's like a comedian. What's the difference between a comedian on stage telling an embarrassing story about themselves, people laughing about it, than somebody else telling that story and people laughing about it? People are laughing, right? If they're laughing, done my freaking job. All right, sign the papers. All right, I'm good. As long as it's not mean or foul. Like, yeah, like Kevin Hart. That's a great example because, like, to me, even if they are foul and mean, as long as they keep it like in the game, because I've seen what Ninja has to say, like Razor Ninja has to say about me. Like, he keeps it in the game though. Like, the dude, like, as much people would like to think like, oh, like, you know, he's not respecting you. No, he is respecting me. He's respecting me by keeping this in the game. He's not going out of his way to say like, oh, Walrus, you're dumb. You should, like, you know, right? He's not saying that. And he's saying like, oh, you should be, you know, whatever. He's not saying, dude, your takes on Genshin is bad. You played the game bad, right? You know, you're not knowledgeable in the game. It's not like he'll pick on, you know, certain things about Genshin that I do that he talks about, but he keeps it in the game. And a lot of other people know to keep it within the boundaries. And as long as they play by the, it's like getting into a boxing ring and getting hit in the face. I'm not going to complain about, oh my God, like, you just hit me in the face. It's part of the game. But like, if he, after we leave the ring, he continues to hit me in the face, or like he goes after my family and hits my family in the face, right? You know, that's a problem. But he's keeping it in the game. He's keeping it within the confines of Genshin. Say whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. And I encourage him to, right? In fact, I'll be honest with you guys. I sometimes make videos with the thought of, okay, what if people finds this video and reacts to it? Right? What if they find this video and they react to it? Maybe I should give them some content just to react to. You know what I'm saying? Maybe go out of my way to make content so they can have a better reaction. I think Valk had a good approach. He had engagement and open discussion why he didn't agree with your video. The best approach is having an open discussion and rebutting. That's the first time somebody has mentioned to me about Valk reacting to my... Okay, listen. I think Valk and I are also... Oh, wait. What's Valk Genshin? Valkyrja. He's a commentator. I love watching people react to my videos though, because that's an active discussion. That's an invitation to discussion, right? Couldn't find it. I can't find it. Is there EroticWalruss anywhere? If people have one of the videos, please send it to me. I love watching people react. It's just it starts a conversation. I love to have conversations. There's also another dude. There's a dude that's in my Discord channel who okay, his name is Flip. Yeah, this dude. Look. I love it. He's even in our Discord promoting his own content. And he took a fat doo-doo on me. And I love it. I let him.
Don't you dare ever again.
I love it because this guy is in our Discord promoting his content, and I support it because, like, we have to encourage discussion, people, even if it's bad. We have to encourage it.
Hello there, Flip
Okay.
here, and today we will be adding another victim to the Genshin Court series because there's quite literally nothing else to talk about Genshin related until we get this bitch who's rocking that straight Minecraft hairstyle.
You see, like, he's putting in effort, right? It's not just like blatant content. It's not just that he's trying. You can tell he's trying to give his audience a good time. He's trying to show his viewers a good time, and I encourage it 100 times out of 100. Doesn't matter if I'm the butt of the joke or whatever, or like the victim here, or the person in the courtroom, whatever you want to call it. I think it's cool that these people are willing to react, to go out there. People, send my content to anyone, even if they hate the living daylights out of it. I encourage you to do it, and send it back to me. I would love to react to things that people react to me. It's hella fun.
But anyways, the one we'll be sentencing will be a streamer and YouTuber called EroticWalruss. I'm gonna need some backstory for that name, Chief. In what dimension did you decide to confidently name yourself EroticWalruss? I'm not even trying to be mean, I'm just genuinely curious. Is this
I get that question a lot, and I've answered it a lot. At this point, I think I've answered this question like 7 or 8 times.
a way of him telling us that he's a furry? Because I don't know what else to think. Anyways, for those of you who don't know what the Genshin Core is or what it entails, the TLDR of it is that I'll be trying certain Genshin content creators based on their takes on characters or the game in general, and give them a fitting sentence accordingly. But before we do that, as always, standard YouTube practices, if at any point during the video you're entertained, make sure to drop a like and even consider subscribing so we can climb.
I'm entertained.
In the future.
I already laughed.
Back to, I'm calling him Walrus. He's a Genshin content creator, which I don't really know how to feel all that well about. His game knowledge seems to be more than the likes of Vars, but similar to Vars, it's as if he just flat ignores theory crafting done, or goes in with...
I do, though. I absolutely ignore theory crafting. I have never, ever watched a single video on any theory crafting or follow any theory crafter on any social media. I 100%. He is 100% right on that. And I'll tell you why. Because my point in playing this game is not to provide you guys with the best theory. Like, for theory crafting, is either you go big or go home. Either you break down everything or you don't break it down at all. You don't wishy-washy it. I preface this to you guys. Like, I am not the most knowledgeable person on the game, but that doesn't mean I can't give my opinion about the game with, like, through my lens, right? And of course, some of those opinions are going to be biased to how I've experienced it, although I've tried my best to try to equalize certain, factors in the game. For example, I never level any talent past level 8. That's my effort in equalizing. And yes, even then, it's inadequate to say that I have a true, good picture in the game. But I take the hands-on approach for myself. And he's right. He's 100% right.
Certain character biases. A few months ago, he made a video on why Electro needs a buff, which I heavily disagree on. I even made a video to debunk most of those claims, which you can check out here. And he kept bringing up Keqing when talking about Electro, which leads me to believe that he doesn't want Electro to be buffed because it's a bad element, but because he wants Keqing to get buffed, so he has to push a narrative of Electro being bad, so the element gets buffed and Keqing can stay as she is.
Guilty. But I will say, Electro, for the most part, feels like it lacks personality and it lacks like a purpose in the game. I think Electro needs a purpose, and I'll stick by that. But Electro characters in general are overtuned to make up for the lack of damage in their reactions. But then again, what kind of Electro reaction do you use? Apart, I guess nowadays people use Electro Charge, right? They use a lot of Electro Charge teams, which it's okay, but honestly, I think there are better options out there. But if you ended up with a bunch of Hydro Electro characters, what are you gonna do, right? You're just gonna Electro Charge. But yeah, I still think Electro is one of the weaker units. I think Electro is probably like Anemo, Hydro, Cryo, Pyro, Geo, Electro. Oh yeah, so I still think it's the weakest element. I do. So I still think it's the weakest element. I think Pyro is not as good as Cryo nowadays, though. I honestly don't. I think it's probably, yeah, a Nemo, Hydro, Cryo, Pyro, Geo, Electro.
Wait, actually, I did a quick search, and that might actually be the case. This is for the cemented in the first piece of the.
You see, literally, I don't hide this stuff. Like, I love Kaching. I love playing her, and I want her to be good. And I want Yaimiko's artifact set to work with Kaching as well, because I want both of them to succeed.
Evidence we'll be taking a look at. You'll see.
This, look, do you know how many, you guys know how many people reacted to this video? This is, and do you know the good thing is he watched it to the end. He watched this video to the end. Round of applause. But, okay, another thing is, I still stand by this, people. A lot of people don't agree with me on this, but I will stand by this because I think C0 Raiden is overhyped for what she is. For the amount of investment you have to put to make her work at the level that, you know, showcases make her seem like, you know, how good she is. I think C0 Raiden is very good, but not amazing. C2 Catch Raiden is absolutely broken. Sup flappers.
Don't you dare ever again call me a flapper. That is pure verbal assault. I'm a flipper.
Let's just get this out of the way.
Oh, I love this guy, people. I love this guy.
Raiden Shogun at C0, she's good, but she's not great. I think that phrase sums up Raiden C0 so well.
C0 Raiden is a top 10 character. This might actually be the first time I've seen someone underrate Raiden to this degree. All the other content creators wank Raiden, which I still think is wrong, as it does ignore some of her issues like her E-skilling being some of the worst in the game, and she isn't a universal battery like many people say she is. Like all other characters, she has her set teams. Trying to fit Raiden in a team just because it lacks energy is most likely going to be a detriment, and you can solve ER issues in other ways, like with.
Yes, absolutely. Same elemental batteries are some of the best the game has to offer. Like I hate it when people say it's the same thing. I hate it when people say Raiden is good because she's a universal battery, and Kazuha is good regardless whether you can use his Viridescent because he can group enemies. These two are like they're trying so hard to defend these two characters to the point where they're willing to make a blatantly, you know, wrong statement just to make it sound like these two characters are better than they actually are.
With Favonius weapons.
And I don't think anyone is going to argue with me on this one. I mean, at least anybody who has played a C0 Raiden, has built a C0 Raiden. I can wholeheartedly, honestly sit here and tell you that I've tried my best to build C0 Raiden to be somebody who's worthy of her field time.
She's level 80. The fuck do you mean you tried your best? Also, what team is that? Bro couldn't decide whether he wanted Raiden National or Hyper Raiden, and decided to go with both. Another thing is that even if he wanted to play this team, he's doing the rotation completely wrong. What am I watching?
Yeah, so that team I literally just slapped together. I don't even know if my Sarah was C6 there. That's the thing that I'm thinking about now. Is like I don't even know if my Sarah was C6 there. And I did have a Kazuha. Okay, the thing is, the difference between level 80, level 90 isn't going to make a difference. It's not going to make or break the character. Okay, listen, here's the thing I need to say. If your character feels inadequate at level 80, suddenly you level her to level 90, it's not going to change. By the way, to prove that to you guys, I did end up leveling my Raiden to level 90 before I did her C2 test. Results were pretty much the same. So see, now my Raiden She doesn't have her. Now my Raiden is at C3 because I did a specific test from Raiden from level 90 from C0, C1, C2, and then C3. It's on the live stream, and I don't know if I made a video about it, but like I tested her. Literally no difference. Like if you blindfolded me, leveled up my Raiden to 90, covered the bottom of the screen, and asked me, "Hey, what do you feel different about this Raiden Shogun?" Absolutely nothing. All right. So, but yes, he is right that technically, if he wants to pick, like, I did not level her to level 90, but my point is, the amount of gains I would have made from getting my Raiden to level 90 would not have changed my views on how she performed at C0, right? And let's just forget about support DPS. You are not running Raiden as a really good support DPS unless she's a higher constellation, because her field time is truly not justified. You cannot have Raiden sitting on field hitting for like 8,000 per normal attack. Yeah, she's charging the battery for your team. Like,
This is worse than Vars's gameplay. Are you sure Raiden is underperforming, or can he just not play the game? Or
wait, who is Vars?
But what I'm trying to say is Raiden Shogun at C0 struggles to output enough damage to justify the amount of time she needs to be on field, which is the time she uses her burst skill. And while her burst skill does more than just damage, yes, there's an utility aspect to it that regens energy particles for the rest of your team. I am not saying that is useless, but hear me out. There are also options to replacing her if you're just talking about energy regeneration here, right? Let's be honest, people. Same elemental type characters have great batteries. It's not like before Raiden came into our world, we had no way to regenerate particles for the rest of our parties.
How do you go from making one of the most base takes I've heard to an extreme amount of reaching to downplay Raiden? I'm someone who downplays Caesar Raiden a lot. I hate how overrated she is. But saying that her Caesar
So we agree.
suffers because there are other ways to battery is just disingenuous. Let's look at Raiden Natural, since it's one of the most popular teams right now, so a lot of you can relate to it. On this team, your Xingqiu no longer needs to run Sacrificial or Favonius. You would actually give him a Premier 5-star Sword or Lion's Roar for this team, as assuming he still has around 160 ER.
Like, this is another thing that people don't realize when they promote this team. Like, you're talking, I'm going to give my level 90 Xingqiu a 5-star weapon as well, and my level 90 Bennett a 5-star weapon as well, and my level 90 Xiangling potentially a 5-star weapon as well, while their artifacts are cracked to the teeth. Well, no shit, this is a really good team then. You know, all teams, like if you leveled up a Noelle team all to level 90, a Xinyan team all to level 90, like all her supports, like Xinyan with like the best supports in the game, and leveled them all to level 90 with 5-star weapons, you're going to do really good. Yeah, sure, you're not going to outperform Raiden National because you have, you know, a better synergistic pairing, but you're still going to blow through the game just fine. Like, these people are saying like, oh my god, get these 5-star weapons on these characters, they're going to be cracked. Yeah! That's what 5-star weapons are for, to make characters crack.
You can comfortably burst off cooldown. Likewise with Xiangling. This is a really simple riding concept, which sounds redundant to explain as it should be common sense, but if you're overcapping on energy with Xiangling, it's a good thing as you can now tweak your artifacts to have better offensive stats for the Raiden team.
It's her damage output at C0 that is the main problem, and to be more specific for you guys, it's her damage ceiling. It's capped. You just can't really get that much higher without, let's say, like if you have an R5 engulfing lightning with the most cracked out artifact sets you can get, yeah, she can still do decent damage. You see, like this is the point where we really have to reevaluate what we're talking.
Yeah, so you see how people circumvent that is by building characters like Xingqiu and Xiangling to facilitate Raiden's damage, like on-field damage time. Without Xingqiu and Xiangling's assistance in damage output, Raiden cannot justify her field time. That's why if you look at C0 Raiden teams, for the most part, she needs that to succeed. That's what I'm saying, right? That's the only acceptable way for you to run that character. And when a character that is on field as an on-field DPS relies so much on the off-field DPS, and that means you have to put an exorbitant amount of resources into your off-field DPS as well to make sure your on-field DPS can be justified in staying on-field. It feels a little weird to me. Honestly, it does feel a little weird to me.
talking about here. Like with that kind of itemization for a character, you're dealing decent damage. But if you have the same thing, and let's say you have a C2 Raiden, immediately you are broken beyond belief.
I kind of just don't get what Walrus is trying to say here. Raiden Hyper even at C0 is still a really good comp. Does it get a vast improvement at C2? Yes, it does. But how does that in any way invalidate C0 Raiden's damage? Constellations are an
C0 Raiden doesn't do that much damage. Please, I swear, Xiangling does more than her. Xingqiu probably does a similar amount. It's a combination of Xingqiu and Xiangling's damage in combination to Raiden's on-field damage with her ability to supercharge them again. That makes the team work. Without Xingqiu and Xiangling's damage, the comp literally falls apart. Like, people have to understand, Raiden C0 has like one team. It's Raiden National. You are yoinking Bennett, Xingqiu, and Xiangling from any other second team options to make this team work. You are taking 3 SSS top tier characters to make one character viable. Come on, people. Like, I know it's a good team. I know she's great at it because she allows this team to function at its peak potential. Right? Like you said, yes, you're right. You can build really good weapons on Xingqiu. Xiangling put less emphasis on energy regen. Raiden facilitates that. Raiden allows that to happen. Yes. But in return, you need to make sure Xingqiu and Xiangling are well invested to pump back and to support Raiden when she's on field. Because if you don't, she doesn't do enough damage. C0 Raiden is also in Eula teams too. Yes, but C0 Raiden in Eula teams, oftentimes she suffers because when she's on field, you're losing so much damage. Your Eula better be like really well built. Your Eula better be clearing the chamber with like 2 bursts max. If your Eula can't clear Abyss chambers with 2 bursts, you're gonna have a bad time with C0 Raiden on your Eula team. I'll let you know that right now. I played that team many times, in fact. If you're needing 3 Eula bursts to clear Abyss 12 rooms, gonna have a bad time, friend. Especially with your C0 Raiden Shogun. Because she doesn't do enough damage. So, because now she doesn't have Xingqiu and Xiangling to facilitate her, it feels kind of awkward.
due to a character's damage. Who would have thought?
So here's the tricky thing, right, about this character is like she does something amazing, which is she charges everybody's energy, and along with her elemental skill provides decent off-field damage support in the electro element. But at the same time, a lot of people don't really want that electro element to support them, right? Only superconduct.
I think everyone knows what I'm gonna say by now at this point. Him saying this is also ironic because every good Raiden team banks on the fact that she's electro. Raiden National would lose so much damage if it didn't have electro charge, as you would be proccing less transformatives. At C0, Raiden Hyper with Kazuha, Overload makes up upwards of 20% of the damage. Every team Raiden is good on benefits from her being electro. I now may as well pronounce electro as my wife at this point, which means I can make this meme.
Once again, let me reiterate. It's not the character's fault, it's their element. The element of electro is holding back a lot of these characters.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
Wait, was this during the time when the Will Smith thing was going? That's pretty recent. That's pretty recent. But, okay, here's the thing. I still stand by, let's say, if Kaching were Pyro, if Kaching were Hydro, if Kaching were Nemo, if Kaching were even Geo, she would be better. Hey, bomba tu. Bomba. Anna is having a really nice time chilling in my lap here, so we're just taking some photos. Sorry. But yeah, if these electro characters were any other element, sure, their scaling would have to be tuned back by a lot. If Raiden Shogun did exactly what she did, but she were Pyro, Cryo, Hydro, Anemo, Geo. Geo might no Geo Geo maybe I don't think Geo would work. all right, with her kit. But take any of the Electro characters and change them into another element. Just do it. Like, let your mind run wild a little bit. Just try it. Pretty broken. Can you imagine Hydro official? Can you imagine a Nemo official? Do you know how good of a Viridescence user she would be if she were a Nemo? Come on, people. What about, right? Like, it's, so like, I don't know why people, because I get it. Because she works so well in the space of Electro right now, they don't really think about, oh, like, you know, Electro is bad. But if you easily take Raiden, turn her into even a cryo unit, she becomes just as good, if not better. What does Electro offer? Like these transformative reactions, yeah, they're great. They're great for what they have to offer currently, as, you know, Raiden functions in current metas. Right, you know, nice. Getting some overload, some you know, electro charge. It's good, you know, but it's only good in the scope of Electro. Just saying. If Raiden were Pyro in that Raiden national team, you get an additional 25% damage flat. Not flat, but like 25% damage bonus through resonance. Just saying, 25% is a lot for Raiden Shogun. I don't know. I don't know. Am I just crazy for saying this, or do people? Yeah, we're not gonna get into the whole Geo problem. Geo suffers from a whole different issue than what Electro does. So I'm just saying, like, you know, people keep saying, oh, you know, Electro is fine because the characters that currently exist in the game functions fine, but they could have been a lot better if they were another element, or if Electro was a little more defined as to what it actually does.
That'll be it for this piece of evidence. Funnily enough, I think this cycles back to my first point, which is the reason he doesn't like Raiden so much and is trying to downplay her is because one of the things Raiden did was cement Keqing as dog shit. So in order for this not to be true, he has to call Raiden.
I think Beto official already got the job done before Raiden came along. Yes, Keqing is far inferior to Raiden, but I don't think Keqing is absolutely useless because Raiden exists. In a way, they function very differently. Keqing at C0, I think Raiden still does more damage than Keqing. It feels bad. It does feel bad, but I just want to say, Keqing was already 6 feet under before Raiden ever came along, and Keqing suffers from the same thing. Keqing suffers from a lack of multipliers and a weak reaction, like a weak elemental reaction, with little off-field presence, little to none. So like you can't even use her like Fischl for any reaction teams that actually can use electro reactions. Feels bad.
Raiden C0 DPS bad. It's not even worth giving a sentence for this. You'll just be fined for my eye removal appointment, as I rather not have eyes than watch whatever the fuck your gameplay is. Now let's move on to the next piece of evidence, which highlights another thing that Walrus seems to do a lot, which would just be ignoring or just not understanding basic theory crafting concepts, which isn't inherently bad if you're a casual, but with Walrus, you'll see what I mean.
Ayato is a well-rounded character, and I'm going to go into detail more in the video, but I do think he is worth looking into a little more than just, is he a must-pull, right? Because I don't think anyone is a must-pull, and we should really stop with the mindset that any character deserves to be on this must-pull tier list. It doesn't exist, it's a fantasy.
I'm actually gonna just be leaving this here because this was a very good take.
Going back to this is that it's a
Yes!
very well-rounded
A W!
kit that adds nicely to what this character ultimately does, which is damage and utility and kind of support. So in a way, I do feel like a grid comparison to make with Ayato is kind of like Hu Tao. There
What? Excuse me?
elemental
Okay, I need to talk about this. Why Ayato and Hu Tao are similar is that they both have an infusion window, whereas Hu Tao focuses on single damage, Ayato focuses on group damage. And in a way, you have to play with them kind of similarly. You know what I mean? Is that you have to make sure things are set up to go before you use your elemental skill. You don't use Hu Tao's elemental skill, go to Xingqiu, use his burst, then come back to Hu Tao, right? Same thing with Ayato. You set up the field with someone like a Ganyu, and then you use his burst, and then you use his elemental skill. Like the rotations is very, very, very similar, and when they're on field doing their thing, they don't want to be interrupted. They want to just sit there and do it. Whereas Hu Tao relies on Zhongli to give her a shield, Ayato relies on freeze to make sure enemies can't freaking run away. So in a way, they like their damage environment and the conditions for them to excel at dealing damage is very similar, while they're also their infusions are also built into their elemental skill as opposed to their burst skill. So I guess another example would be like someone like Yoimiya, right? That's what I was trying to say. Skills, but the thing is, Hu Tao is single target and she does a lot of it. Our Ayato cannot keep up in Hu Tao when it comes to single target. When it comes to group enemies, Ayato of course takes the cake, and at the same time, in exchange for power, he is able to hit more than one enemy very easily, whereas Hu Tao really has to skewer all her enemies into one go, which is incredibly difficult to do in certain scenarios. And of course, fighting more elite monsters, you just can't dash through them, you kind of get stuck on them, so you end up really hitting just one unit. So in exchange for that, Ayato is able to hit many enemies. However, I do think Ayato has the better trade-off here, being the hydro element as well. So of course, his infusion window is also much shorter.
This is another thing that EroticWalruss does a lot. Sometimes he quite literally just says nothing. He mentioned Ayato and Hu Tao are comparable, then failed to list a single comparison besides they and...
Okay, that's my fault. Because okay, guilty. Because okay, I'll show you guys something. I don't know if I still have it up. Ah, perfect. This is how I do my videos. I don't... As you guys can see, it's not like a fully written out script. These are all points. For example, I see a lot, Genshin needs more ending content. What if I told you? Blah, 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 blah. Like, these are points, and I riffed off of these points. I can't write an entire script. I write points, and I talk off of these points. Have I hit this point? Sometimes I can talk, and the conversation flows into cover, like, this entire area. Then, okay, then I have to move on to the next area. Right? That's me, that's guilty on me, that sometimes I make a point, but I'm not able to fully expand on it before I hit my next point. So, like, apologies if sometimes but I hope I made it more clear just now in explaining that when I say Hu Tao and Ayato are similar, I mean that their damage conditions, like the conditions you have to set in place for them to do damage, is very similar. So their rotations through their teams are oftentimes similar. You start with your support DPS in a freeze case, or like you want to do electro charge Ayato, that's also fine, but you always got to set up your stuff, right? You got to set your stuff up, whether it's your Beto burst, your official bird, whatever. You have to set it up, and then you use Ayato's burst, and then you layer everything together, so when you're on field with Ayato, all the off-field stuff is already active. Same with your Zhongli shield. You don't activate your elemental skill, go to Zhongli, activate your shield, go to Xingqiu, activate his burst, and then go back to Hu Tao. Doesn't work that way. That's what I was saying. So in a way, I was trying to point to how you have to make use of the very small window that you have access to succeed. Yan's Orbit, hello everyone, hello Wars. What's up, Yan? Like, Yan's Orbit, I believe, Yan, you're like the first channel member. I don't know, but I don't know if, but you're definitely like the first 10. Glad to have you with us. We're just talking about just reacting to a video, like, which I'm enjoying. People, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm enjoying this a lot.
Confuse their weapon. What was the point of this statement?
He can play Vaporize, he can play Freeze, he can play Electro Charge. Now, granted, some of these are going to be better than other options, but to be quite frank with you, a big problem with Vaporize with Ayato, my original fear was they're going to put some sort of unreasonably...
Till it's level 40. Dude, I wonder if he's gonna comment on it. I wonder if he's gonna say, this dude's running a level 40 Ayato.
high internal cooldown on Ayato, but I've come to find that due to his fast hydro attacks along with his burst skill and his normal slashes being hydro, it just, there's no pyro character or pyro application for that matter that is fast enough to keep up with it.
Okay, thank you, Walrus. With this take, you have just cemented that you don't know anything about elemental gauge theory.
I don't know anything about elemental gauge theory. Clip this, ship it. Go ahead. On stream, I've embarrassed myself many times trying to like work out like elemental mastery and how it scales and its intricacies with different characters and different. I have no idea what elemental gauge theory is. No idea. No idea.
And you probably learned what ICD is through Yoimiya. And I don't want you guys to take this as everyone should know about elemental gauge theory, because it's not that important, to be fair. And there are generally a lot of people that just have no fucking clue what it is. But when you have a big platform and then go on to talk about elemental reactions without knowing how elemental reactions work, you aren't doing much good to the general community. And
Here's the other thing. I stand by this fact till the day I die. Nobody, I mean, no, not a single, out of the 186 people sitting in chat right now, there is no one here who follows me, watches me for like theory crafting or guides. Please tell me, none of you are here actually following my like theory and guide videos. I don't make them anymore. Why? Because I'm a commentary content creator. I comment on news, events, drama, whatever, and I give my take, right? No one is here being like, I wonder what Walrus. Please, someone call Walrus. Somebody get Walrus on the phone. I need to know what Walrus thinks about Yellen's elemental consistency is with all these team options. No one. Okay? In fact, if people follow my content, you'll realize that more often than not, people challenge my understanding of the game more than they follow it. I'm here for Chi-Chi. Exactly. I'm the dude who said Chi-Chi battery, baby. Come on. I even went out of my way to shatter all credibility for like can't make this stuff up. I completely shattered my credibility when it comes to this sector of the game. All right? So we need to stop this thing when people say like, Walrus, you know, you have a responsibility not to spread this misinformation. Bro, I'm just a player. Chill. Okay? I'm just a player. I'm just somebody who's here excited to play the game, to share what I think about characters. You know, I don't need to understand elemental gauge theory to talk about elemental reactions. Just like I don't need to understand film theory to say that Batman Begins, you know, is a good film, or Inception was an eye-opener, or that, you know, 1917 is a great film with great effect and a very interesting take on how you know, cinema is meant to be done. Like, I don't need a film degree to talk about that. This is a game, people. Come on, let people say what they want about what they want without feeling the repercussions of. I get it. If Ziox came out one day and said like, oh, you know, I think Geo is the best element in the game because, you know, Crystallize with enough EM can you know, scale with good damage, and Anemo and Geo has great reactions. If Ziox came out and said that shit, okay, yeah, cancel the dude. But I'm just saying, Ziox is where he is because of his credibility and his consistency in delivering accurate information, right? I am where I am because I just sit here and spout random stuff that comes to my mind. It's only fair. So please stop holding me accountable for things that you know, I'm learning just as much as these. I don't make these videos as guides. I make them as like, was Ayato worth it? Do I think Ayato was worth it? And hey, in hindsight, what I said in that video turned out to be kind of true, bro. I'm just saying, right? Because I have a very, how should I put this? I have a very normie take on these things. And guess what? The majority of Genshin players are normies, right? They just want to, oh, Hanna, you're back. They just want to chill and play the game. Nobody wants to think about elemental gauge theory. I mean, some people do, but the most people don't.
Stuff like this is why people to this day still think child vaporizes with Jiangling. So let me be of service and give the most bare-bones explanation of why trying to make Ayato do forward vaporize will never work. Likewise for things like Melt Hutao. Multiplicative reactions like Melt and Vape, you have a forward reaction, which is where you boost your damage by 2 times, so Hydro onto Pyro or Pyro onto Cryo. And then you have reverse reactions, where it's the opposite and it gives you a 1.5 times multiplier to your damage. Also, every elemental attack in this game not only applies an element, but a unit of that element, which is essentially how strong the element is on an enemy. Normal and charge attack infusions as well as elemental skills and bursts that attack multiple times will usually apply 1 unit, whereas attacks that are big hits like Child's Burst or other like one-off skills and bursts, they apply 2 units of an element. If you do a reverse vaporize reaction with 1
I'm lost. I'm, I'm lost.
unit of Hydro and 1 unit of Pyro, the 1 unit of Pyro will only take essentially half of the Hydro unit away, meaning you can apply another unit of Pyro after that as well, so the Hydro aura will essentially be on the enemy for longer, so you can chain reverse reactions. The problem is that forward reactions are not designed to be chained. If you apply 1 unit of Cryo and then 1 unit of Pyro, the Pyro unit will just eat the Cryo unit, and even if you have an ability that applies 2 units of Cryo, that 1 Pyro unit will just eat both of the Cryo units. Theoretically, if we get Jingzhou and turn him into a Cryo, we'll call him Jingyu, he wouldn't be able to enable forward melt for Pyro characters like Hutao, because these reactions are quite literally not designed to be chained intentionally, and then you have to take into account ICDs, and you just realize how...
Yeah, so essentially then melt reaction is meant to be one big hit. Am I correct to assume that? Right? The melt reactions, for example, you apply cryo and then you have a big freaking one-shot pyro, like literally earth-splitting strike or whatever, and that gets a 2 times multiplier. That's what melt should be. I don't know. That's why I guess Ganyu melt with Jiangling works, because her hit scale so damn high, insanely high, and both the hit and the bloom scales gets to melt, right? Like they scale off the melt multiplier. So that's why that works. So that melt is meant for nuking, if what he says is correct. But I never mentioned this in my video. I'm just saying. I never mentioned this in my video. I don't go out of my way to pretend like I even understand this stuff. Say I just interpret. So you see, what he just said and what I just said, I am interpreting it. I'm trying to make sense for people. That's why I brought up the Ganyu examples. Like, so does that explain why Ganyu melt works, but you rarely see other melt teams in this game? Rarely you see it, right? Because Ganyu has insane scaling in her normal and in her charge attack, her bloom attack. Maybe that's why. I'm just trying to interpret this, right?是看什么连元素规理论都不懂，真是好的。Dude, yeah, I don't know. I feel like let's just keep watching.
I've also been generalizing like a lot. If you want a more comprehensive look into elemental gauge theory, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Jesus fucking Christ, that was a mouthful. TLDR, Walrus doesn't know how reactions work. Let's carry on.
Overall, I find that his kit is well-rounded in all aspects. Of course, we also have the electro charge team, so I won't go into details regarding the teams.
I'm actually curious as to this guy's beef with Electro. What did it do to him? He talks about forward vaporize Ayato for a good 2 minutes even though it doesn't work, then proceeds to talk about Ayato's freeze team, which is pretty good. But he doesn't even give Taser Ayato the time of day, when Taser and Soup are currently the best teams to slow Ayato on. Ayato just normal attacks so fucking fast that he can consistently proc beta.
Okay, one of the reasons why I couldn't get into the frickin' Taser teams is it needs its own video to talk about. Like, the reason I can fit Melt and Freeze is because it's the lesser talked about. I can literally group them together, but the Taser Ayato teams needs its own freaking video. I can't just be like, okay, and then you can run Ayato with this character, and the reason they work together is this, but you can also run Ayato with this character because blah 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 blah. How long was the video that he was reacting to? It's like 10 minutes. Like, it's gonna be a 15-minute video by the time I'm done talking about. Like, I get it. It's good, and I say it's a good option, and that's why I was saying. Ayato's strength lies in that he has access to both freeze teams and electro charge teams. His scaling isn't like not his scaling. Like vaporize doesn't really work nowadays. Like, you don't really have vape teams outside of Yoimiya and Hu Tao. Honestly, you don't. And the only reason those two can work is because Yoimiya's first third, I think, was it 7? 1357 was it? Is that her attack string, or was it only 135? Because those 3 hits in particular scales really well with Vaporize, and the Vaporized with her cooldown times those 3 hits, pretty much exactly, very consistently. The thing with Hu Tao is that her charge attack frequency is not high enough to apply, the pyro, and the Xingqiu does reverse, right? I believe that's how it works for Hu Tao. We talked about this in the past. Xingqiu does reverse. Is it reverse? Or is, I don't know. It's like the thing he was like, the order is that Hu Tao applies a pyro, and then Xingqiu comes in and hits with the hydro, right? I think that video when I talked about Ayato still holds true. I think I did not mislead. I don't think I was wrong in making certain statements. But he's like nitpicking and talking about the reaction.
Wet status. Damn, that's hot. He's just another KQM knob gobbler LUL.
Like, I don't have any beefs with the dude. I'm just saying, like, as you guys can see, I'm having a good time. I'm just saying that sometimes the criticism people give me, I think it's in part to my fault as well, though. Like, guys, I understand it's in part to my fault that I was showing you guys my notepad that my videos are not precise enough. I'm not being accurate enough with the way I present information, which can lead to this kind of misunderstanding. So I don't think he's wrong in what he's saying, but he's just misinterpreting what I'm saying, and he's misreading it, and which leads him to think that certain things that I say, like that, I might think a certain way when I don't.
Those discharges, supported by his high normal attack damage and wide AoE Hydra application for constant EC, and then for Ayato's soup teams, which would include Bennett, Fischl, and Kazuha or Venti, this just banks on a lot of transformatives through Electrocharge taking place, making a very consistent and high damage output team. That's all for this piece of evidence. Let's round out this furry sentence. Walrus, you're a content creator that lets a clear bias skew your decisions and recommendations, and for that you will get a year sentence, and will also be banned from looking at Kachin content for the next 24 hours. If you show any withdrawal symptoms, we don't give a fuck. It means you're going back to normal. Kachin is mid.
Kaching.
Also, for unresearched testing, that will net you another 2 years for a total of a 3-year sentence. Take him away. Court is now closed. Well, there we go. That's EroticWalruss done. All in all, I don't think he's that bad. I had to watch a lot of his videos to get the 2 I used, because most of his videos are just minor misconceptions or opinions that just aren't worth delving that deep into. His takes can either be really based or just completely miss the mark to where you say Ayato is comparable to Hu Tao. I also just really don't appreciate when content creators who claim to talk about meta and then hand out team recommendations don't even know the basics of how elemental reactions work. Your whole argument for a certain topic falls flat when you don't even know the foundation of the argument.
See, some of the teams that I recommend are extremely, for example, this team. Let me show you guys. I've recommended this team on more than one occasion, but no, not this team. We probably will just use this. This team. I love this team, by the way. I love this team. Wait, where is... I love this team so freaking much. I can't explain to you guys how much I love this team. Is it like a top meta team? Absolutely not. But if you have the means to play this team, I'm just gonna let you know, you're gonna have such a good time. Like, this team has worked in every single Abyss iteration in one of the chambers, and it's absolutely cracked. And look, level 90, level 80, level 70, level 70, and this team is able to keep up with Abyss 12. It's a lot of fun. I'm just saying. I don't go out of my way to say this team is like broken and like, you know, you have to build this team, but I'm saying if you have Ayaka, right, just know that Ayaka Ganyu can live in harmony with each other. Ayaka doesn't have to always compete. Like, I don't know what it is with the Genshin community. It's either Ayaka or Ganyu. They cannot like live with each other, and I think we made that mistake by overlooking the potential of Yellen with Xingqiu together. People overlooked this duo because we were too busy comparing Yellen with Xingqiu to consider the possibility that Yellen can be in the same team as Xingqiu. Right? You see how restricted our way of thinking has been, which made the majority of people to overlook this possibility until Yellen came out. Then people started thinking like, hey, what about, like, you know, what about a mono Hydro team? What about a Yellen Xingqiu team? Like, would that work? Like, why compare them? Why not put them on the same team? And they realized how broken that is, right? And it's now one of the most utilized Yellen teams out there. So we need to stop this comparison thing. And I think a lot of my team building, and as you guys can see, when was the last time I released a team building video? It's because I haven't been able to find a lot of fun, like, worthy teams to recommend you guys for Ayato, for Yaimiko. Like, I'll be honest, these two characters haven't been the most, you know, meta redefining ones. Whereas Yellen, I think I can't really make a video as well because there is no top 5 Yellen teams. Like, she has like 3 teams that's good, or 3-4 teams that's good, 1 that's really fun. So I can't even squeeze together a top 5 video, and I don't think it's worthwhile, to be honest. And and at the end of the day, you're just gonna run probably either Yellen with Yunjin and for your Mia team, or you're gonna run Yellen with Xingqiu to run a Yellen Xingqiu team. So at this point, and Ito won't work either, because Ito has like 2-3 different variations of the same team. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it hasn't been, I haven't been able to give good team recommendations because there hasn't been that many good teams. I might be able to do a collective video, be like, here are some of the good teams for the recent 5 stars, but honestly, some of them to me, it's not that fun. Count Sack says, again, it's like saying you need to know general relativity to say that a ball falls to the ground. Yeah, I don't think we need to be so try-hard. I think leave the theory crafting jobs to the theory crafters. If you want to learn more about elemental gauge theory, like, really go dive deep about how reactions work, how the meta of the game is shifting and whatever, right? Who's like the best, like, mathematically at what constellation with what weapon, you're not going to be watching me. You're going to be watching some other dude who excels in that area. There are a ton of great content creators that talk about theory crafting. Why go out of your way to pick on somebody? Like, I don't go to Tectone because I want to hear about his, you know, meta views. I don't go to Mtash to watch him see 6R5 characters, right? It's the same. We all have our different takes on the game. We all have our different, you know, things that we specialize in. For me, is that I will give you my opinion, albeit at times, yes, biased opinion, but I feel like I put an effort into making sure that my recommendations kind of follow suit generally with each other. Like, my view on Yellen and Ito and Ayato and Yaimiko and Raiden and Ayaka, for the most part, are fair. I do think it's fair from my reaction, and I do think my current state in the game is something some people can easily achieve. In fact, my Ayaka has a R1 C0, right? C0 R1 Ayaka. Okay, maybe not that one, but like some of these things like people can actually achieve in the game, and in fact I don't go out of my way to make my characters insane, but they're really good, they're well built, and I think it's disingenuous when you have like triple crown characters and you go around compare them to like level 8 talents and level 90 with their signature weapon to like a freaking 4-star refinement 5 weapon. It's not for me. I don't think for the most part people are genuine, including myself, but it's if we're kind of doing it, I think it's fair, right? I make an effort to make sure that my recommendations are to like I use the same criteria for all the characters to make sure that I'm not skewed one way or another. But no, don't come to me to watch for elemental theories. Like there are way better candidates out there. Erotic Walrus becomes the erotic walrus. Erotic walrus. Walrus is a theory crafter channel. Yeah, like just to meme on the people who keep saying that stuff. Like I should actually make a theory crafting video and like just make it complete BS and just like talk like on purposely get everything wrong. Be like, hey, by the way, guys, I'm gonna stop becoming a commentator. I'm stopping my commentating journey here and I'm going to open a new chapter. I'm going to become a theory crafting channel. In fact, I believe in this so much, I'm changing my name to EroticWalruss. Yeah, and I'll be like, yeah, so let's talk about Yellen, and to get you guys up to speed, we need to talk about her elemental gauge concept. It's a little different from the elemental gauge theory, as currently it's still in development. And yes, I am writing a 20,000 word paper on this, which will be published next week, hopefully. So let's start by talking about this elemental gauge concept. I call it EGC for short, so let's just use that abbreviation going forward to save us some time. So when it comes to EGC, we really have to evaluate as different elemental typings have different EGCs. Can you believe that, people? Yes, through my testing and understanding, is that, look, for Xingqiu, his elemental skill lasts a total of 16 frames, whereas Yellen's can last up to a total of over 300 frames. So when it comes to EGC, we have to include frame counting. Frame counting is a very important tool that we theory crafters use to analyze characters. So through frame counting, because I've done it so extensively and so much, I can tell you guys that's roughly 16 frames, whereas Yellen has more than 10 times the frame numbers that Xingqiu has, giving her an EGC rating of over 3.0. So I'll give you guys a reference as to how this number affects their EGC performance on the EGC scale. And it's very important because with a higher EGC rating, it also means that they're going to be on field for a longer time because of their animations. And with a higher EGC rating means there's more risk to reward. And throughout my paper and this discussion, we're gonna break all this down, what these numbers mean and why it's important to your account. All right, roll the intro, play some freaking nightcore music with the walrus theory crafting thing spinning around. Yeah. Yeah, like just throw all the acronyms because they love saying that. Like, have you guys noticed? Like, theory crafters love to throw like, oh, and then the ECs, and then the GRs, and then the BTs, and then the OPQRTRYSTs are going to be very beneficial for you guys here. Okay, listen. As much as I would love to make that video, the theory crafting community is going to take it as hostility. Yeah, don't forget the N1, N2, N3, T1, T. Yeah, what was it, like N1, C4 or something like that? They love to abbreviate it. So like, if you're new to Genshin and you stumble across a theory crafting channel or video, you are going to be so freaking confused. Yeah, results may vary depending on your gamer diet. If you have to, like, if you want to get the most damage out of Yellen teams, you need to make sure you're on a gamer diet that that consists mostly of 50 grams per sugar, like 50 grams per cubic liter of sugar intake for all your liquids. Yeah, you got to make sure to mix that shit in real nice. And yeah, if you don't have a Staff of Homa mixer, mixing stick, you're gonna be losing out on 2.3 EGCs. I'm just saying, without the Staff of Homa mixing stick, you're gonna be missing out on some EGCs. All right, it is what it is, people. If you want the damage, you better be ready to put the money into the gear. Yeah, and then Terrence Lee says, and then do the segues like save 50% on G Fuel with the link in the description, by the way. That'll be so damn perfect, wouldn't it? EWTC TV. EroticWalruss Theory Crafting TV. Bro, this is... I swear, not to even hate, I think people keep thinking I hate theory crafters. I don't hate theory crafters. I love theory crafters. I think I keep saying in my videos, they are like the beacon of hope for people who are meta driven in a single player, like non-competitive game. Like, can you guys imagine how desperate some of these people must be for the information that theory crafters provide? They're like worried that, oh, because it's a single player game, maybe like it's not. Like, no, I think theory crafting is incredibly valuable. Who I absolutely despise are the people who quote somebody's findings, misinterprets it, go on people's videos, like not just to me, but just go on videos responding to other people, calling them like names, like harassing them, saying like, oh, you're so dumb, like, oh, like, you know, theory crafters have already proven blah 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 blah, when in actuality maybe theory crafters didn't say exactly what you know, what that person was quoting. Maybe they just misinterpreted certain things and they're not really 100% correct as well. Is that it's like somebody took Einstein's papers, took a glance on the first like 2 pages, interpreted that, created their own understanding. Now they go away speaking like they're Einstein to other people. Like, yo, you know, like, you're totally wrong about this. Let me teach you about, you know, what really is this is all about. It's about people's egos. It's about people going out of their way. Like, they could easily just leave that comment there and don't be a dick about it. Or they could have easily presented the information like, hey, like, are you sure about that? Like, from what I understand, it was like this. So, like, you know, always go into things with the mindset of learning, of gaining something, as opposed to just info dumping on people. Like you guys saw today, my take on the guy Flip, his video on me, I think it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I saw it as content, and I think, you know, and I even try to interpret what he was saying, like when he was breaking down, you know, oh, why Pyro eats up 2 cryos. That's why you can't have like consistent melt reactions. And then I was thinking about it, like, okay, so maybe more instances of Pyro on more enemies and more instances of cryo. That's why maybe melt Ganyu works. Maybe that's the basis behind it, right? Because I didn't understand it. I was just using it. So it's like, why not go into it with a mindset of learning? Even if the person is shit talking you, why not go into the mindset you might just come out a little smarter, which gives you the opportunity to look a little less like a dumbass in your next human to human interaction. Yeah, be open-minded. Be a little more open-minded. Just because somebody's asking a potentially, you know, rudimentary question doesn't mean they're stupid. I mean, they might be, but who are you to tell people that they're stupid? If you don't want to help them, don't help them. Like, why go out of your way to call someone a dumbass when you know, when they're asking a question? Like, sure, call me a dumbass because I put myself out there. Like, I'm okay in being a dumbass because the fact that I put myself on the internet, saying some of the things that I say, giving the opinions that I give with the amount of followers and audience that I have, I'm already exposing myself to these people. That's okay. But when somebody's in a comment section like this, I see this so much, and I see a thread just forming, and they end up having to edit their comment to apologize for what happened below. It's just absurd, right? That's who I have a problem with, and I think people get this mixed up. People like want to. I guess this is the community. They want to start beefs. Oh, Walrus hates the theory crafting community. I don't hate the theory crafting community. Wait. I don't hate the theory crafters, but the theory crafting community, for some reason, just breeds these kind of people. For the most, I know not all theory crafters are bad, right? For the most part, I think there are some theory crafters that are very understanding, and they're able to kind of simplify the concepts to teach new players, and I think those people are very commendable. But there are just some theory crafters who, holy smokes, they feel like they have the keys to the nuclear codes, man. They go around with like elemental gauge theory, like it's a freaking handgun, holding people at like gunpoint, being like, hey, you know, let me tell you a little something about elemental gauge theory. Nobody gives a shit about your elemental gauge theory, man. Like, go touch some grass. Let me tell you about what grass smells like. It's just so cringe that these people try to like hoard it over other people, being like, oh, you don't know about elemental gauge theory. Well, you don't know what pussy feels like, baby. You know, I guess that's just the trade-off. So sometimes it really just rubs me the wrong way. So I in my videos, I try to encourage people to be a little nicer. All right, if you like, I'm not even saying don't think the way you think. Like, you could be an asshole, but can you just, if you want to be an asshole, can you just like maybe do it somewhere else? Right? Like, you don't need to go out of your way to be an asshole, do you? Somebody's asking a question in general. Why go out of your way? You could just keep scrolling. You can keep scrolling. You could like somebody's asking a question. It was the other day. I saw a question on a YouTube video. It was about somebody asking for team recommendations. And they were saying, like, I'm currently, like, I'm AR 25, I'm running this team, and the team was like very ragged. I remember it had like Razor as a support DPS or something, and it was a bad team. And then there was a dude below. It wasn't even the first response. It was like after 3-4 comments, like some people were like, lol, like that team, and then another person was like, you might want to look at some guides, I recommend blah blah blah. And then there was another guy below that. It was saying like you would have to be actually brain damaged to think that is a good team. And that's all they said. Like, bro, who hurt you? Like, what? Why go out of your way to say that? Like, okay, if you said that, can you maybe like add like, okay, if you say that, maybe below you can also add like, I recommend blah blah blah. This is the best team right now. You should look to get these characters. They're all 4-star characters. Try this team. That team sucks. But if you just go in and say that, like, what are you contributing? Right? And the thing is, the person was asking, hi, I'm new, right? And I'm currently running this team. Like, what's a better team that I should be building? What's a better team that I could? They were actually asking a question. And this person just came in and said that you have to be brain damaged to actually think that's a good team, when nobody, literally nobody in the comment section above him has said that that was a good team. I don't get it. I don't get it. And sometimes you see the same, like, it's the same dude go into different videos. Like, there are dudes who go into different videos just to harass people. It sounds like a League of Legends, but yeah, dude's probably on like, dude probably just lost his like silver promos. I decided to take it out on like Genshin players. HG Sinex says, bro, I am new in game. How to count pity in history? Can you show me? Okay, buddy. I'll show you. But understand, counting pity in this game is very difficult because you can't do it live. Okay? You can't do it live. This page doesn't update live. Okay? So, for example, if I were to summon right now, If I summoned right this very moment. You know what? For your sake, buddy, I'll do it. All right. So I'll teach you. You see this right now? This was done on May 31st. All right. So there's no counter. Understand? Like, yeah, you might be like, wait, how is that even possible? How does a game this, like, how does a company this successful making this much money don't add a live counter? It's part of the design. So, all right, one last time I'll show you. You see? Cool steal. And I'm going to summon once right now. I'm going to summon once. And... oh my god! No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. You wish. All right, I got magic guide. Oh. And then you go into history. It doesn't show up. You can refresh it. It doesn't show up. It doesn't show up until a little later. So you have to, if you're doing a summon session right now, you have to like count it yourself. So now if I were to keep summoning and I want a 5-star, I would know I'm at 2 pity. I did 2 summons, 2 single summons. So I would need like another like 70 something to reach soft pity, like 74 or something like that. Right? So that's how most people have to do it. I don't know if there are like third-party websites that has it. I don't know. That tracks your account. Yeah, so you have to actively sit here and do it. Okay? Even Honkai counts down your pity. I don't know why Genshin doesn't have it. I think they might add it in the future. But yeah, that's how you do it. Hope that count. I hope that hope that helped. So yeah, there's really no good way to do it. But yeah, chat, we're reaching the end of today's discussion and live stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, you know, go out there, be nice to people, call out these assholes. Yeah. maybe Walrus will drop his infamous theory crafting video on how EGC works in the game. Genshin content smackdown. Oh, by the way, before you guys leave, I have a meme review channel now, so it's in my Discord. It's under, yeah, it's pretty much towards the top. It's under my videos. It's called Genshin Meme Review. So yeah, if you guys want to post memes in there, I will do meme reviews maybe next week or every other week, depending on how many memes we get. And maybe we'll have like a whole criteria and section, and we'll grade each meme, and I'll get you guys to participate as well as judges. Well, we'll have polls for each meme, and then maybe we'll conclude between my grade and your grade together. We'll probably give like a final grade, right? Yeah, nice additional content. Yeah, I think, but then again, there's so many like low tier, low effort Genshin memes as well. But find some good ones. We'll probably go through them next week this time. We'll do an official meme review, and I'll probably upload a meme review video every week or every other week, and just to see what's going on with recent Genshin memes. Infamous Neil Ratchets, I need you to make a roasting session video. How it could be on me and I'd still watch it. You like it when I roast people? Maybe, but I'm not that confrontational of a person. I don't like going out of my way to confront people, but sometimes people rub me the wrong way and things just come out. We need a jingle. What if the top one gets a reward? Like the top memes? You don't have to make your own memes. You can go on like Genshin Meme Pact or like just find memes and yoink it and we can review it. It's just to get exposure for memes and see what's going on. Why you're counting video wrong, Genshin Impact community doesn't understand. Account roast video, let's go. Oh, bro, like I hold back on account reviews. I try to not be an asshole because I think people ask for account reviews because they want me to either A, showcase it, or B, give them advice. So if they're coming to me for help, unless they specifically say, hey, Walrus, I want you to roast my account, you know, as like go hard on it, unless it's an active request, I wouldn't go out of my way to roast it. is what I mean. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. It was a very eventful Saturday. I'm gonna go grab some food, go chill, and yeah, people. I'll see you guys next week, huh? How about that? Subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. I would love to have you guys in my YouTube comment sections protecting, fellow flappers. Sometimes we don't have enough soldiers to fight the battles that needs to be fought in my comment sections. I'm just saying, people. All right. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday's live stream, then Saturday live stream. Thank you, Jans, for tuning in. Ringo, if you're still here, love to have you back. And Honglei, thank you so much for the giveaway. And looking forward to more content. Dante, as well, for contributing so much in our live streams. Yeah, people. Jans Orbis says, thanks for the stream. Give Hana and Michi some head pats. Okay, we can give them head... Oh my god, Michi, what are you doing? Michi is pretending to be dead. All right, I'll give you guys I'll give them some head pats. Goodbye. Goodbye. You should dress your cat up like Ka-ching. Maybe we'll get her a Ka-ching cosplay. Okay, I'll see you guys next stream. All right? Peace.